It's time for Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out of it at 25 and the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher.
Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
Chicago has won the Stanley Cup. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it, go to Rizzo.
It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this hump day. Guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra. Thank you for tuning in. Man, we have a phenomenal show. Now, listen, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. Now, if you haven't liked us on Facebook, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Make sure you go like us, Shawn and Maya in the morning, and also SportsZone Chicago. If you're watching this on our YouTube page, thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, tisk, 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 go subscribe to our YouTube page, SportsZone Chicago. And if you're watching this on our app, awesome, which means you've downloaded the app. And if you haven't downloaded the app, God bless you. Go download the app wherever you get your apps from. It's SportsZone Chicago. You can also tweet the show. You can tweet us at SM_mornings or at SportsZone Shy. That's CHI at SportsZone Shy. Now, if you want to follow me, just me, personally online, want to know what I did? Let me tell you what I did. Want to know what I did? Here's what I did. I made it nice and easy for you, folks. Nice and easy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapper. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. If you want to follow my lovely co-host, Maya Akai, you can follow her on Facebook and Twitter at the Sports Chica. If you want to follow her on Instagram because you do it just for the gram, then just follow her at Maya_Akai. That's MAYA_AKAI. I would be remiss if I didn't bring him out. He is the man who makes it run all smoothly. He is the man behind the curtain, the whiz, but I like to call my Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife, Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Papa? How are you?
I'm good, Shawn. How are you? Good morning. It's a little warm. I'm loving the warm weather. Wake up. I'm not freezing my ass off. You know, it's a plus in the morning.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's nice. Today was my day off. No CrossFit today. So I slept in late and I was like, I don't want to get up out of bed. It's crazy. People get 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis. I'm like, my body's like, what the hell is this? What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? I'm not used to 8 hours of sleep. So I got a good night's sleep. And yeah, it's good, man. It's good. The weather's going to be beautiful today. It's going to be another 60-degree day. What do we have? 67. Shut the front door. Dude, it was 60. It hit might have hit 70 some places yesterday, but it was right around 70 yesterday. 60 high 60s, and you know what? That's
they said they're gonna have a lot of wind though, about like 35 mile an hour winds.
It is.
Well,
yes.
Watch out for falling trees, tree branches and stuff. That's a real thing.
And just in time because on Monday and Tuesday there's a chance of snow again.
Hey, Chicago, right?
You gotta love it. So yeah, high of 67 today, 60 tomorrow, Friday 55, Saturday 46, Sunday right around 50. So man, look, we gotta, if you don't like Chicago weather, just wait 5 minutes. It'll change. That's the truth. Roof. Hey guys, we got a great show, but we need you to get interactive with us today. So wherever you're watching us from, whether it be our Facebook page, whether it be our YouTube channel, whether it be our app, wherever you're watching this from, do us a favor. Just leave us a question or comment right there on the wherever on the platform that you're using. It'll come to us, and our super producer himself, Ivan Vargas, will post, or myself will post it on the screen. We want you to get interactive. That's how the show's fun. When you get interactive, you have questions, you have comments. It just makes. We don't just want to tell you what's going on in sports. We want to get your opinion. We want you to be involved with us. That's how we do. Hey, did I ever get you Joseph's email address?
You did. Did you not? I got you.
No. Because he didn't. Because I left my phone. I was making my breakfast. I got bananas and apples. So on the breaks and stuff, so I could eat it real quick.
Right.
And I think I left my phone in the kitchen over there. So I don't know if because he didn't check. He's not in yet. So I didn't know if because he'll always call me. Hey, can you send me the link to get on? But sometimes I send it doesn't go through. I look at it'll be in the sent, and he'll. So I've had this issue. So he'll be like, hey, you know what? Can you send it? I'm like, wait, I just sent it already. I went. You're going to Outba in your. It says sent, and then 2 minutes later, like, oh, I got it now. I'm like, what the hell? If it should go through right away.
Well, Joseph should have it now because I just sent it to him. So
okay.
It should be good. So hopefully we'll get Joe on in a second.
Okay. Guys, when I say we got a great show, I am not bull jiving you. Bull jiving. Here's the lineup. Look at this. Boop. Whoop. There we go. Man. 10 o'clock. Adam Shalafu from the Hoopstradamus podcast. We're going to talk a little Bulls. Start off the day. I know we're usually going to have a little Bulls after because we have a lot of other stuff, but this was the only time he could come on today. So we had to put him at 10 o'clock. So we're going to talk some Bulls at 10 o'clock, but at 10:30, Beth Mishler Elmore from Heavy.com. She covers the Bears for Heavy.com. She's going to call in. What's the rumors? Tag, you're it. What are the rumors about Russell? And tag, you're it. The Bears placed a franchise tag on one of their most important offensive weapons. And then at 11 o'clock, my guy, Matt Anuko. He was on the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast over at Sports Mockery. You're going to call in. Ivan, don't think I'm just Sox heavy. I tried to get a Cub caller on, and they couldn't do it.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good, to be honest with you. I'd rather be under the radar. I'd rather be just quietly creeping up on people rather than, being boastful and saying, hey, look at the Cubs. Like they're actually looking halfway decent.
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple, and they're like, you can't. One of them's a mom. She was like, you can't ask me the day before. I was like, all right, I'll give you a week's notice. No, I'm just playing. And she's like, I gotta get my makeup and hairstylist on board too. And then she texts back. She goes, I'm the makeup and hairstyle artist, just messing around. I'm like, I'll make sure I give you enough time so you can get. So I put in quotes, so they are available. She started laughing. But so we'll have my girl Andy Cruz Vanasek on next week talking Cubs. She writes for Cubby Blue over at SB Nation. So we'll have some Cubby talk. I know, so he doesn't get lonely talking about or annoyed just talking White Sox all the time.
Well, you guys just gang up on me, and you guys are bullies. You guys pick on me, and I'm like, man, nobody's to come to my defense, but Joseph Phillips.
Ah, great, yeah. Here he is. Speaking of half it back, and now you're gagging. Now you're gonna gang up on me. So let's go over the lineup again. 10 o'clock. See, there you go. You start that nonsense again. There you go. 10 o'clock. Adam Shalafu talking Bulls with us at 10:30. Beth Mishler Elmore from Heavy.com talking Bears, and then 11 o'clock. My guy Matt Anuko from the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast talking White Sox baseball. Whew. But guys, you know what time it is. The first segment of every show is called Top of the Morning.
Just when you want it.
Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
The Top of the Morning segment is powered by the Chicago Crusader newspaper. And with that, we bring in their guy. We bring in our guy. We bring in your guy. He's the man, the myth, the legend over there. He's the guy. He's a sports editor, and you can find him on Twitter at ACA Joe. Let's bring him out. Our boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Joseph Phillips. Joseph, what's up, Papa?
Good morning, Papa. God bless.
How you doing?
Oh, doing great, man. Ready to
Okay.
get this day started.
Okay.
Got a little button up, so we're ready, man. We both got our polos on, man.
I was wondering if I should go with the Eloy look.
Don't show too much chest, bro. Because Eloy doesn't.
Oh, yo.
Yeah. Oh no, what's going on? Hey, it's Lima time. Remember Jose Lima? He used to be like,
Yep.
Lima time.
I think we're gonna go the Eloy Yo-Yo route today. We're going. How you doing, man? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Everything's good. You know, just ready to
Oh,
roll.
big shout out to Patty Ramos Lara. Good morning, Patty. How we doing?
Hey, Miss Patty. Hello.
Well, Shishka Barbarino. Well, you know what? Man, see, I told I told Ivan because I didn't know, because sometimes you'll call me or text me like I didn't get the link, and quite oftentimes I send it to you. I'll email it to you because I CC you on it, and then I go in my outbox and it's sent, and I'm like, why the hell did you get it? And then 2 seconds later, it's like, okay, you got it, and then you text me, I got it. I'm like, well, what the hell happened? So I didn't know if you got the link, but I told him
Shawn. Hello, Shawn.
And I left my phone in the kitchen. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
So I left my phone in the kitchen. So I was like, oh man, I was like, I don't know if she's calling me or not. So I was like, all right. So, but also that's also where I hold my top of the morning segments, because I do it on my phone. But I do remember a couple of the top of the morning segments off the top of my head. First,
Hey, Shawn, I was watching the show after I got off on Monday. They were talking about the Blackhawks, and he said the same exact thing that I told you that day. Remember?
Who?
John Meat. What's his name?
John Dietz.
John
Dietz. Yeah. So I do have to apologize to you, because you said yeah. I did say I got crucified
ear slash for like an hour from Shawn.
I know what was the conversation. I remember saying I got to apologize to Joe. What was it?
It was about the Blackhawks and them taking their foot off the gas.
Oh, taking their foot off the gas. That's right.
He came out and said it word for word verbatim. I was like, see, this is why Shawn, I tell him, I'm on your side, man. I'm on your side.
And that's why I was like, no. I was like, John, come on, man. I'm like, damn it. All right, now I got to go apologize to Joe when I see him on Wednesday. It's like, because I'm like, and I said, I don't know, because I said, even then, I was like, I don't know how much of it is that they took their foot off the gas. Like, these are the defending Stanley Cup champions. I don't know if you're going to take your foot off the gas more than they amped it up and you weren't ready. He was like, it might have been a combo of both. I'm like, all right, I got to go apologize.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad. Not bad. Holding the Stanley Cup trophy last year, or a few months ago. Not even last year. It was like 10 minutes ago. They just put the trophy down. So, yeah.
It was funny, too, because as soon as he said it, Shawn was like, oh.
I saw it. I was just busting up laughing. I was like,
man, when he said that, in my mind, I'm like, Mother Hubbard. I was like, damn. All right, Joe.
At least you're a man of your words. At least you're a man of your words.
Hey, you know what? If I'm wrong, it happens once it, a couple times.
Yeah, because some people got pride. They'll be like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
No, I don't agree with it.
I don't think Maya would have even acknowledged it. Because that's how she did Ivan that day when the Blackhawks won in the first round. Remember that? Y'all had that.
Oh, yeah.
And she didn't show up for like 4 weeks.
I remember that. I remember that.
And she gets amnesia like a Mother Hubbard, boy. She gets amnesia like I don't remember you saying it. Like you got to pull up video evidence. She might have been. I must have been on meds that day or something, because I don't remember that.
Right. Like, let's go. Look, Shawn was like, let's go to the video.
Oh, funny you should mention that, Maya, because Ivan hit it and there's a video. That's the only way you can get Maya for her to.
You're not gonna admit it.
Nope. You got to have video evidence. And even then, she's like, I must have been on some crazy meds or something.
Well, this sounds good, man.
Hey, the first top of the morning topic, man. Let's get it started. Hi, that's good. Who sings that? I know Black Eyed Peas.
You talking? Yeah, but back in the day,
MC Hammer, he did sing it too. I'm like,
yeah, because Black Eyed Peas stole a lot of MC Hammer music. That's all it was.
Okay. Yeah.
They just changed the tune.
See, most people think MC Hammer just had "Can't Touch This." That was his only hit. But if you were an MC, if you're a follower like back in the day, like he was hot when I was in college. You know what I'm saying? And the high school and college.
Right.
So you know what? You go get the cassette tape. You get the cassette tape. You know what I mean? And you bump that joker. You listen to all the songs, and
Hammer music was like fighting music. It was like you step up to the challenge, you can't stop me. It was like that whole, like
his delivery. Yeah.
It did that how Deion Sanders used to dance to his music too. He used to love the high step to his songs and stuff.
Because remember he made the Too Legit to Quit. Hey, too legit to quit. Hey.
In my high school days, my buddy Ashley, he was the star quarterback, so he used to wear the old school Atlanta Falcons Deion Sanders jersey. So I was like, man, you got to let me hold that jersey down, man. You got to let me hold it down. He was like, one day he came to school. He was like, just for you. He just blessed me. He was like, here. Man, every morning I was wearing that jersey, man. We was doing prime time. So those are the words like that. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, let's get right to it. Top of the morning topic. The first top of the morning topic, Patrick Kane, the Caner. He appears in his 1,000th. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1,000. His 1,000th game yesterday down in Dallas. And listen, here's the jacked up part about it. His 1,000th game was originally slated for the home game Sunday against the Lightning. Excuse me. But the Hurricane postponement, the game between the Hawks and the Carolina Hurricane that got postponed on February 20th, pushed it back a game. So it was last night as opposed to Sunday. How awesome would that have been for Kane? And I know there's no fans in the stands. I get it. But still, to have your 1,000th game at home would have been cool. Unfortunately, because they're on the road, I don't think it was just that, but they just had a horrible game. The Blackhawks got blown out 6-1 yesterday. It was a little frustrating. Malcolm Subban had a rough day at the office yesterday. He stopped 31 of 37 shots, and it didn't look like the Blackhawks that we had come to see this season.
Yeah, it's just probably a letdown from after that game that took place on Sunday. I think it was a carryover from that game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they probably still had that mindset. It was like, you know what, we had them on the ropes, but we let them off the hook. And they carried that mentality into yesterday's game, and this is what I'm talking about, letting your guards down. You cannot get back. You can't fall back into the habits. Once you start learning how to win, it's just like with the Bulls. Once you start to learn how to win, you can't get, how can I put it? You can't build this false security like you arrived. You see what I mean? You have to keep that killer instinct. You have to keep pounding it on teams.
I don't think, Joe. I think with that, what happened, I think they looked at, and this is, as I said it, you talk about on cue, I think they were still thinking about it. I don't think they let their guard down. I just think because that was a tough series. Right. And the ass whooping that they got from Tampa Bay, I think they were still focused on the ass whooping that they got from Tampa Bay from the last game. Okay. And not focused on this. I think there was a lot of carryover from that game, and that's where Jeremy Colleton has to do a good job as a head coach and say, hey, listen, the series, or however we lost today is over. You got 24 hours to think about it, and then we got to move on. All right, and this is a good learning experience for them and for Jeremy Colleton, saying, hey, listen, you just got out of a tough 3-game stretch with the defending Stanley Cup champions, which you held your own. Okay, you almost could have won 2 games. You won 1. But that first game where they lost in 0.1 seconds left in overtime, I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Right. So you're right there. So I said, you're there. But the thing about championship teams is after every game, win or lose, it's over and done with. Your emotions are gone. They're gone. That game's over. Your emotions toward that game are gone. Right. So now we need to focus on the next game. I think this is a very good learning experience, and we're seeing a lot of the learning experiences that are necessary for young teams. And it's not the Kane, it's not the Tays, it's not the Duncan Keiths that need it. They understand it. It's these younger guys, these rookies and these sophomores who need to understand that. And I think they're getting a good lesson in how to be a championship team. You know, because I just think that's what it was. I don't think they took Dallas lightly, and maybe they did because Dallas only has 17 points. You know, they're way below them in the standings. But I think they're more focused on the ass whooping they got on Sunday from the Stanley Cup champions, the Lightning, as opposed to keeping their mind focused on the team on the other on the other side of the ice.
That's right, and that's true. That's exactly what I said. Like they having a hangover from Sunday's game, thinking that man, we had a chance to. They treated Sunday's game like a playoff series. Just put it like that, and they have to realize that this is not the playoffs. This is the regular season. So we got a lot of more games to play. You see what I mean? So, like you said, we have to get over that and move on to the next possession. We can't keep replaying that in the back of our heads. We can't keep replaying the guys who took plays off in that game that allowed those comebacks to happen. So we can't allow that to carry over because we need that they need to play with that type of energy every game. You can't just choose the opponents who you're going to play against like that. And like I said, if they would have won on Sunday, I think this score would have been a lot different.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Although there is always the possibility of them, having a letdown after a big win. You know what I mean? After having a big win, like what they're called? They're called trap games. You know that.
Yes.
When you get fired up for a team and you beat them and you're on cloud nine, and the team you face, the next opponent that you face doesn't belong in the same arena with you, and that's basically what happened with the Blackhawks. Dallas Stars are quite a few points behind the Hawks, and I think so it could have been a letdown, but I think that there also could have been, hey, you know what, we're riding high, we're going to continue to play this way. But it's just, I just wish it would have been a little different than the way it played out, because it was frustrating watching them on Sunday. And this is what happens when you play good teams, dude, and teams like Tampa Bay, again, like the Blackhawks were back in 10, 13, 14, 15, and you could turn it on like a son of a gun, dude. You know what I mean? And for them to, for the youngsters, I'm telling you, I think they were just shell shocked.
Yeah,
I think they were shell shocked, dude. That's
like taking an uppercut to the chin. Hey, if you can get up out the 10 count, then keep fighting. But if not, you're gonna lay there until you wake up from that shot. You see what I mean? So at the end of the day, yeah, we took a lot of jabs from Tampa Bay. We took their best shot. And now it's time to shake off that blow and move on to the next game. And right now, I think they're still feeling the effects of that blow because they hit them right in the gut.
Yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough for them. But again, I'm happy that they went through it. I'm happy that this is a great learning point, a teaching point, for Jeremy Colleton. Okay, and it's a great teaching point, great learning point for the players. So yeah, this is something that they need, and they're going to have to get through. And frustrating, to say the least, but especially with Tanner's 1000th game. It sucks that it was going to be at home and it wasn't because of the postponement. That would have been really, really cool. Like I said, no fans, but just to be basically part of the, one of the mainstays of the Blackhawks team of that dynasty.
Right. And then he probably won't be able to get fans to his next 1,000th game. That'll be his 2,000th game. So that'll probably be to break the record for Blackhawks players. But there were fans there, but they weren't our fans, unfortunately. So I saw like a couple of fans scattered here and there because of the Texas, they opened up their state pretty much. So so they allowing fans at the game, but they still gave him a standing ovation. They still clapped for him,
that's class.
Video, yeah. So they were showing a lot of class. Yeah.
That's class. So when they come home, that's class.
There was a Jonathan Taves sighting too. He sent a congratulations to Pack. So he looks pretty healthy, So
who was, I can't remember. They had, they had some people. They interviewed Kaner I saw in the news yesterday. They're interviewing Kaner, and he was talking about, we got, there's some things more important than hockey. He said, we're going to let Taze, take as much time as he needs going through what he's going through. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is he going through? Like they are so tight-lipped about what's happening with the captain. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Right.
We have no.
It hasn't leaked. That's the thing.
No. Yeah. Like, usually you would find it like, we found out some things about some of the other Blackhawk players in the past, but no, you talk about tight-lipped organization. Man, that's
everybody must have had to sign off on a confidentiality agreement. It was like, here you go. Don't violate it.
Don't violate it or get fined.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Let's get to the next top of the morning topic. We're going to run into the break, but that's all right. The next top of the morning topic, the Bears decide, tag, you're it. The Chicago Bears decide to tag star wide receiver Allen Robinson to the tune of about $18 million. When I saw it yesterday, I saw it was about $16.5 million, but that was the projected one from what I was looking at. But it's about right around $18 million. So he's got two choices: sign the tag,
right.
sign it, or sit out.
Right.
To do a Le'Veon Bell, miss out on all that money. The good thing about this, though, Joseph, we know that is that a long-term deal. Now that you tagged him, he doesn't have to play in that. You can work out a long-term deal. You have until July 18th, I believe, is the date. You have until July 18th to work out a long-term deal with the people that she's franchise tagged. Then you take the franchise tag off and you go for, you play under that contract. He's asking about $20 million a year is what they're asking. I'm like, damn, dude, that's a lot of money for a wide receiver. Yeah. But you know what? I think you can give him money up front, okay, which will be prorated over the life of the cap, over the life of the contract. I put it this way. I'm happy as a pig in slop. The Bears needed to sign Allen Robinson, and they did, because whoever the hell is going to be throwing the ball, they need a number one receiver.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did yesterday. They said, all right, Allen, we're going to tag you. And not only we're going to tag you, we're going to go get you a quarterback, an offensive line. And if you decide you want to stay, here's your chance. We're putting the ball in your court. And I think the next order of business for the Bears is a QB, because Allen knows that, hey, I won't sign back here unless y'all bring in a QB.
He's there, bro. He's there. It doesn't matter. He's there unless he wants to give up $18 million.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he won't sit out the season if we get a Russell Wilson. You see what I mean? Like he'll be back in camp. Trust me. Okay, Eddie Goldman will too, because like I said, a lot of these guys, they felt like Mitch Trubisky kind of like wasted their time. Like even though Allen Robinson put up great numbers, but he felt that he can put up better numbers even if he had a competent quarterback. You see what I mean? Like if we had a Russell Wilson back there, no smoking Jay. But if we had a Russell Wilson back there, you see what I mean, over these past 2 seasons, he probably would have doubled those numbers. You see what I mean? So he understands his value and his worth. That's why he's saying, hey, I want $20 million a year, because it's not my fault that you guys drafted this quarterback. Okay? Period. And that's what he's saying to the Bears.
Well, listen, we got to take a quick break. And, you said your first order of business was to get a quarterback, but the second one's to get an offensive lineman. There's an offensive lineman that is available. We're going to talk about him. And the Bears kind of know about this guy. So we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
Hi, this is George Iceman Gervin. I listen to Shawn and Maya in the morning.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash
on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
The Blackhawks got ripped last night, 6-1 on the road at Dallas. They trailed 2-0 after the first. Dallas scored 3 times in the second period. Chicago's only goal came in the middle frame. That was off the stick of Matthias Janmark. Malcolm Subban with 31 saves in the setback as Chicago drops to 13-9-5. They'll play again tomorrow night in Dallas. The Hawks looking to snap a 2-game slide. The second half of the NBA season opens up tomorrow night for the Bulls. They're home against the 76ers, the team that currently leads the Eastern Conference by 5 games over the Nets. The Bulls ninth in the conference, 6 wins in their last 10, 7 games out of first place. Baseball spring training on Tuesday. It was the Cubs with a 9-8 win over the A's. The Padres doubled up the White Sox 4-2. The Mets 5-3 over the Cards. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Printing you new signs for the times.
Get back to business with custom printed signs and sales materials. Staples has hundreds of designs to choose from, or just upload your own.
And now at Staples, get 15% off signs, posters, or decals when you spend $75 or more.
Some items printed same day when ordered before 2 p.m.
Save big on custom printing at Staples.
Ends 5/29/21. Exclusions apply. Limit 1 offer per customer. See store associate or visit staples.com/signage for details.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up a non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. Fever is a leading symptom of COVID, and using an accurate thermometer has never been more critical. In published studies, no-touch thermometers miss more fevers than they detect. While the new COVID vaccines are becoming more widely available, it is important to make sure you are protected. Monitor for fever with an accurate thermometer backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at Exergen.com, where accuracy matters.
Get out while you can. Don't get a sucker no statue. Give him guts. I told you I wasn't going away. You got your shot. Now give me mine. Why don't you get the hell out of there? Shut up, old man. I ain't going nowhere.
Just when you want it.
Top of the morning to you.
We're back. Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning at SportsZone Chicago. We're halfway through our first segment, top of the morning segment. And we were talking, the last top of the morning topic that we talked about was Allen Robinson getting tagged by the Chicago Bears to the tune of about $18 million for this season. Okay. And you talked about they need to go get him a quarterback, which they do. And they said they need an offensive tackle for that quarterback. Well, you know what? There's a guy who was a Pro Bowler at the tackle position who's going to be available. The next top of the morning topic. Former Chicago Bear Kyle Long announced he is coming out of retirement after a year off and away from the game. But he has said he is not coming back with the Bears. What the heck? He said his pride won't let him sign with the Bears. He said on the Red Line podcast from Barstool Sports, he said that his pride wouldn't let him sign with the team that released him. And I'm like, come on, dude. He's like, oh. And yeah, and you know what? Dub 6R, yes, Kyle Long has taken plenty of shots at Nagy. So I don't know if they'd even want him back. But you know what? He said in that podcast, he said, you know what? He goes, they could probably sign me for a lot less, a lot cheaper than most people think. He says, but I can't do it. My pride won't let me. And you know what's really funny in that? He said, he goes, I get it. I understand. He goes, an old crudgy veteran who, is always hurt. He might be a distraction in the locker room. He goes, so they had to let me go. He goes, I get it. But he said, my pride. I'm like, dude, you got to think bigger than that. And maybe he's just saying that to cover his ass, because he'd made these shots. It's like, well, the Bears aren't going to want me. Maybe he's just saying that. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, he was a hell of a guard. He actually played a decent tackle, and they moved him out after his first 2 years, and he made an Pro Bowl alternate, at the tackle position in his third year.
Yeah, he should have a talk with his dad, Howie, just telling, let Howie tell him just about the importance of the NFL of being a business. It's a business, so don't take it personal. They had to cut ties with you because you wasn't there. And I understood why the Bears had to cut ties with him, because he wasn't healthy. He was injured most of the time. And when you're consistent injuries like that, you need to take some time off to get your body right. And that's what he did. And I think that year of rest, as far as that year of retirement, it allowed him to build his resistance back up. He hit the weight room. I think he added 300. He's like at 315 pounds right now. So yeah, he's worked up a little bit, and he got his mind right. But here's the deal. He was bitter within the process because he was cut, but the thing is that there's no untouchables in the NFL, like at any given Sunday, you could be released. Something can happen to you, an injury, anything. So at the end of the day, it's a business, and he should have a conversation with his father just about doing business the right way. And I think Howie would tell him the truth, like, look, son, you wasn't out there long enough for them to even honor what you're trying to do or what you're trying to say. So if you need to go back to an organization and right your wrongs, then go ahead and do that. Do it for the fans, not for the organization.
I feel like I want him back just because it's like, hey, like you liked the way Kyle Long played as a Bear. You liked the way he was, carried himself as a Bear. He loved being here. But just the end of it, to me, that could be reconciled. I just don't understand why you're pretty much saying that there's no compromise. There's no way you can talk it out and figure something out between the two parties. I mean, me personally, I understand the injuries, and I was frustrated with Kyle Long being out every time he was out. But man, if there could be some type of reconciliation, this would be a huge boost. He was the leader on your line. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's an older veteran now, and he did call out Nagy, but hey, man, at this point, everything's on the table.
Hey, Ivan, who didn't call out Nagy? You see what I mean? Like, there's still a lot of guys on the team that called Nagy out, but that's just the culture that the Bears have set. So what I'm saying is that you got a chance to come back while the arrow is pointing up for this team, because we signing Allen Robinson. Let's make a big splash. Go bring back our offensive linemen who owe us time anyway, because if you would have played well in those games 2 seasons ago, then you would have never got cut. Okay? Let's just be honest. And then 3, let's go get Russell Wilson. Get him a talk show. Give him part ownership of the team. Whatever we got to do.
Don't get crazy. Don't get crazy. They're not giving him part ownership of the team. Now you're sticking out your ass, dude. They're talking
about unretiring. They're talking about unretiring.
Dude, you know Russell Wilson's part black, right?
Yeah.
So you know damn well they ain't giving him part ownership of the Chicago Bears. So just don't.
Hey,
Shawn. So we need your help, Russell. We need your help.
Well, listen, Kyle Long he left when he was with the team last before when he got released. He was listed at 332 pounds. Okay. They said he dropped down to 255 pounds in retirement. Okay. Whoa. But now after months of training, he's back to 315 pounds. So I think that's a great weight for him. Here's the one thing that I would I'm concerned with. His anger, his chippiness. See, the one thing about Kyle Long, his game, he liked to maul people. He was that offensive lineman that I would love to play behind. Okay? That I would love to have blocking for me, because he was nasty, he was mean, he was physical, he mauled people. He enjoyed doing it. And my concern with him coming back at age 32 after all these injuries is, how is that nastiness going to be, this year? Is it going to be to the level that it was before? Has he mellowed out a little bit, smoked enough weed and chilled out a little bit to not to have that edge that, because that's an edge, whatever motivation you find as a professional football player, you got to find whatever makes you angry. Okay. You got to find that pain, that emotional pain, whatever it is in your life, and you use that on the field. Has he matured to the point where he's come to, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if he's going to be as nasty. And long story short, will he be as nasty? Will he be as nasty now as he was before?
Well, I think that he'll be more mature. I can tell you that, because he's been put into a situation where you're being forced to apologize. You see what I mean? Like, it's just like Scottie Pippen. I'll give you a perfect example of somebody who had to come back and apologize to the organization, even though he damaged that relationship again after he came back, like with the ambassador stuff. But at the end of the day, When it comes to Cal Long, he just needs to apologize, bring him back into the clubhouse. He's still a leader. People still look up to him, and I think he'll be a good acquisition for this young offensive line, especially after they got rid of Bobby Massey the other day, cutting ties with him, even though he was shocked. But I was like, how are you shocked? Okay. You got like 2 or 3 quarterbacks killed on our team. So don't be shocked. I don't understand these guys that are shocked. And Charles J. Leno, too. Like, he's another one who's been ducking under the radar. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Cal Long, when he was with us, he had the respect of an Olin Cruz. He was starting to get that respect on the offensive line, being tough, being mean, being nasty. And I think if he returns, he can get that leadership position back, because that's what this offensive line is missing. Just a little leadership. That's all.
I think they are. So we'll see. Hopefully he comes back. Javi De Leon, what's up, Javi? Said, do you think 2 number ones and Kyle Fuller are enough for Wilson? No, I don't think that.
No, they're gonna.
I think they want someone. They're not going to take. I think he'll be part of the package, but they're going to want a guy who's a lot younger. They're going to want a guy. They're going to want a Roquan Smith and or Jalen Johnson. I don't think Kyle Fuller is going to be in that mix. Plus his contract. Don't forget, he's still getting a huge contract. So what you're going to try and do is create salary cap space in that with that trade. So you got it. You're getting rid of Russell's contract, but you're also now bringing in a big contract like Kyle Fuller's. So now it's for the 2 number ones that you got. You're not eating up into that cap space with the contract of a big dude. That's why when people say, well, if you have the trade Khalil Mack, trade Khalil Mack. They're not taking Khalil Mack's contract, dude. They're not taking Khalil Mack's contract. They're not taking Robert Quinn's contract. So stop with the stupidness. Okay, people just say dumb shit to say dumb shit, and it's really annoying. And I know, Javi, you didn't say it. No, it wasn't you, and that's not directed at you. But when I hear a whole bunch of other people say, well, just give them this, just give them that. Like, you have to make the numbers match. Like, you can't just say dumb stuff. Like, and I get it, we're fans, but be educated fans. Understand that the salary cap, which is the we could tie in the next top of the morning topic with this, is the NFL salary cap has been set. According to Ian Rappaport this morning, the salary cap is $182.5 million this year. 182.5. Okay. So you have to fit all that in there. You want to get underneath the cap as much as you can with a high quality of player. So why are you going to bring over a Kyle Fuller's contract because his contract's high? And although he's getting close to the end of it, I get it. And then you only have him for a year. I think they're going to want Jalen. They're going to want Jalen Johnson and Roquan Smith is what I'm saying. And two number ones. So that's what I think is going to be enough for.
So you don't think they'll attack the line at all? That you think the defensive line, the front, will be intact going into next year? Because for me, I feel like they could maybe ask for an Eddie Goldman, maybe ask for somebody young, because they need somebody. They need to. I could see them attacking 3 tiers. You know what I'm saying, or at least 2 of them, like you were pointing out. But I would say, man, D line for the Seahawks, that might be a point of emphasis for them, because they didn't really have a great pass rush last year. They even just got rid of Carlos Dunlap. I feel like if they could find a guy like a Eddie Goldman, or if they like somebody as a kicker on top of a Jalen Johnson and a Roquan Smith, they would ask for it. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Right.
You can ask for it. I mean, you got to give it to them.
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
Right. Now, if I was the Bears, like I said, and I know you said that Mack is not on the list of one of the guys being traded because of the huge contract. Like I said, if I had to mortgage the future, I would. Hey, you want 3 first-round picks? Hey, and 2 starters, we'll give you that. But other than that, there's nothing to talk about. You see what I mean? Like 3 first-round picks along with 2 starters, I believe that's enough to land Russell Wilson.
That's more than enough to land Russell Wilson,
yeah.
Especially depending on who the starter is.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing with, if you think about Khalil Mack, or if that's going again, if they decide to take that contract, which I'm thinking 99% that they won't.
Right.
It makes their defense better, obviously, but they still don't have a quarterback.
They can have Jay Wynn on this point.
They still don't have a quarterback, and so they're going to be in a situation where they've improved their defense, but they don't have a signal caller. Yeah. They don't have a signal caller. So we got Vernon saying not too hopeful. about Wilson coming here. That's like saying Tracy McGrady coming to the Bulls. No, it's not. It's not, Vernon.
No,
it's not because
McGrady was a free agent, bro.
He was a free agent, had the whole thing. Russell Wilson has a no trade clause in his contract, and he named 4 teams. Tracy McGrady didn't name 4 teams to say I'm only going to these these 4 teams. Russell Wilson said I'm only going to these 4 teams, and 3 of those 4 teams have quarterbacks. That two of the 4 teams have quarterbacks. And so it's not like Tracy McGrady. No.
Yeah, and Tracy McGrady was a little disappointed when the Lover Bulls and Benny the Bull showed up
at the airport. I'm like,
and Jerry Cross and his flags.
So Javi,
come on.
So Javi says Jalen and Roquan he can't do that, but for Jalen. For Deshaun Watson, I could. Yeah, I could too. I could too, because he's 7 years younger than Russell Wilson. So you can get out of him. You got 7 years to, you have a lot more. The window of opportunity is a lot greater because he's younger. So there's we're going to talk to Beth. Don't worry, at 10:30. We're going to talk to Beth Mischler-Elmore. She covers the Bears for Heavy.com. We're going to talk about her latest article where she talks about the Russell Wilson situation with the Bears. So you're going to want to make sure you're there. You're here at 10:30 because we're going to talk to her, as I said. For Deshaun Watson, see, the only thing with Deshaun, so let me ask you this question then, folks. What if you win a Super Bowl? What if Russ? So would you, if you're a Cub fan, and I'll direct this not just at Cub fans, but you understand what I'm talking about. I didn't ask you to put that up. Would you be okay if you did all that and you won 1 Super Bowl with Russ, giving up all that stuff, and then you go draft some linebackers in the 2nd round, 3rd round, and they play, satisfactory. All right, they're not going to be, chances are they're not going to be Roquan Smith. But would you be okay with 1 Super Bowl? That is the question. Or do you want it to be where you're contending all the time for Super Bowls? Because remember, the Cubs thought that they were going to be, going back to the World Series, on a consistent basis. They went once.
Right. And Theo did say when he has the opportunity to make a move that will help us win the World Series, he's going to make it. Like he didn't hold back on that. He lived up to his word, and he did that. And the Bears are in the same situation. Like, even though I know I can't even say last year. The last 2 seasons, we've been 8-8, So we're still stuck at mediocrity. Like, what is missing? And just like Russell Wilson said, he said, hey, I want to go to a franchise, an established franchise, and not just turn them around, but put them back on the map, And what I'm saying is that this is a perfect situation for him, And I think Jared Payton been talking to him too, because he won a Walter Payton Man of the Year. So, I don't know if that's behind the scenes, but I'm just gonna say that I think Jared been in his ear, because I think him and Russell have a good relationship. So shout out to Jared.
Yeah, shout out to Jared. I'm gonna call him and be like, hey, dude, you've been talking to. You can talk to him. You're not a representative of the Bears, so you can talk to him. And be like, hey, dude, make it happen. Tell him this is where you want to go. But then again, it's actually not even up to him right now. They have to decide. First of all, the Seahawks have to decide what's good enough for them in return, because he already said he'll come to Chicago. So it's not like we're trying to lure him to Chicago. So, even when you talk about Tracy McGrady, it's not Russell's choice at this point. He already said he would go to Chicago. So now just because he said it, though, now the work has to be done. Now the Seahawks have to get something in return that they feel is comparable or is commensurate to what they're giving up. Three first rounders.
3 first rounders is pretty good, man. I
don't know if I would do that, dude. I don't know.
3 first rounders and a starter. Let's just end it right there. 3 first rounders and a starter, and that starter could be Kyle Fuller, Eddie Jackson, and then last on the list it would be Roquan Smith. I would have to say either one.
But you can't say what they want. You can't, you know what I mean? They're gonna tell you what they want, and you have to decide. You can't. That's like Maya getting mad because Dylan Cease didn't get traded. You know, I'm like, no, dude. Like people didn't want Dylan Cease. They wanted Dane Dunning. Like they're gonna ask for what they want. Like if you want Russ, here's what we want. And you can't just say, well, here, like, no, I don't want that shit. Give me, I don't care who you want to give up. I'm going to tell you who I want. If you want Russell Wilson, here's what I want from your team in return. So we can't ask for, hey, well, just give them this. We can't say give them that. No, they're in the driver's seat. They're determining who it is that they want. And the Bears are pretty much at their mercy because they understand Russell Wilson is a game changer. And the only problem is Russell Wilson's a game changer for like another 4 to 5 years.
You're right.
Sean Watson, if they can, that's the dude for another 10 years.
Right. So either way it go, we got to go all in. It's all designed for us to mortgage the future. Now, what I don't want to hear is just like your mom back in the days to tell you, don't come home with F's on your report cards, okay? Because you know what the consequences are. And that's how Bears fans are right now. We're looking at the Bears management like, okay, you can do all that playing in class, but just don't come home with no F on your report card because you're gonna get your butt whooped.
Don't look like the Bulls in free agency.
Exactly.
Don't look like the Bulls in free agency because we're gonna have a problem, and you don't want no problems. You don't want no problems.
The real Bear come out of Bears fans. Telling you now, if they come up breaking. If I see breaking news and they're talking about Sam, what's his name? Sam Darnold. What's his name for the Jets?
Sam Darnold.
Their new quarter. I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear them talking about Fitzpatrick, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't want to hear.
But he's from Harvard.
I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear none of these names that I don't care about. I don't want to hear that. If it ain't Russell Wilson and if it's not Deshaun Watson, don't come call to my house. Okay?
Yeah, it's gonna. They're put it this way: if it is not one of those two names, this offseason will be a failure for the Bears.
Complete failure.
It will be a failure, and that's not to say that they can't win. Okay,
right.
but the public perception will be a complete failure for the Bears because even if you get another quarterback and they take you deep in the playoffs, you're still going to be like, man. But because say you get to the NFC Championship game, say you get a Gardner Minshew, all right, and they run the ball and the defense plays well and they get to the NFC Championship game and lose. Right. Here, you know what the first thing people are going to say? Well, if we had Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, we would have won.
And Bears fans have photographic memory. Because we've been through so much trauma, like Bears fans, if you mention certain events, it triggers us, So we've been through enough trauma. So we know that you fell at drafting a competent quarterback. You had a chance to draft 2 franchise quarterbacks and you overlooked it. Now you got a chance to get it right. We don't want to hear about Fitzpatrick. I don't want to hear about Foles. I don't want to hear about Trubisky again. I love Foles. He's a great man of God. God bless him. But he's not the starting quarterback of the Bears. At the end of the day, I want 2 names to show up across that bottom line.
One of 2 names. I don't want both of them.
Russell Wilson. Oh, well, I'll just say either name. Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. If we can't come home with that, you might as well don't come home. It's like Fred Flintstone when Wilma used to tell him, Fred, you sleeping outside tonight. You're not coming in. No.
Can I say something to Javi's comment? Like, if it's out of pride, if he doesn't go after if he fucking does it again, where he doesn't go after Deshaun Watson out of pride, then his ass should never have a job in the NFL ever again. Period. I hope that's not the case.
You sound like Coach Ditka.
I don't think he's going after Watson because he doesn't have enough draft capital. I think there's some other, like the Jets have a lot of draft capital, that you can give. I'm telling you, throw Jalen Johnson in there. I like the kid. He's got a shoulder. Yeah, I just think, I mean, of course I'm going to try and protect the people, but they're going to ask who they want. It's like, no, I want him. And the Bears like, no. How about this guy? And like, no, I want him. And it's all going to come down to, Roquan Smith is one of the best young linebackers in the game. And he's good for another 7 to 8 years, this guy. So, you want that on your defense? Yeah. Yeah, you're going to want that. Jalen Johnson is another rookie second-year corner who's, would have had a first-round grade if his shoulder wasn't hurt. But we've seen the dude can ball. Right. So they're going to ask for a lot. I mean, Texans, I'm telling you, I'd talk to the Texans. And here's my issue. If you're building for the long term, which I don't think you can because of the age of this defense, okay? Because of the age of this defense, with Khalil Mack, with Robert Quinn, with Danny Trevathan, with Eddie Goldman. Because of that, that's why you have to go after Russell Wilson. Because what's going to happen is if you get Deshaun Watson, okay, with the age of Khalil Mack and all those guys, and then they take a Roquan Smith out of that off that defense is going to get so much worse. Yeah. If you get you know what I mean? And they're going to have their window to win is like right now, within the next couple of years. So, because Deshaun Watson, if they get Deshaun Watson, he's going to have a very similar situation to what he had in Houston, where defense is all right, because they're going to take some defensive stars, but can they win with Russell Wilson, with Deshaun Watson? I don't know. And it's very possible they can. It's very possible they can. We just haven't seen it. We've seen Russell Wilson get to a Super Bowl. We've seen him get to 2 Super Bowls and should have had one, but the play call. Because imagine if they had run the ball with beast mode and Russell Wilson is a two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback.
What if it comes down to it again, and you have Matt Nagy calling the plays?
Another arrogant play caller.
What if you get to the 5 seconds left?
He'll throw it.
Oh yeah, he's throwing on.
There's no question. He's throwing it.
Hey,
there's no question. He's an idiot who'll throw it.
Hey, Shawn, what was the most passing attempts Trubisky had in a game?
Yeah, like 56. Yeah,
56.
That dude got no business throwing 56 passes in a God blessed game.
Hey,
that should be his total over 3 games. That should be his total over 3 games, 56 passes.
You don't even throw that many passes in a pickup game outside on the playground, man. That's 56 passes. Come on, man. Come on.
Man, oh, man. Well, listen, we got to take a break. Hey, Joseph, thank you, Papa. Let everyone know what you're writing about again.
All right, so this week it'll be Bulls versus 76ers. And also Kenwood basketball. They'll be playing a double hit on Saturday, so I'll be covering the girls and the boys basketball team on Saturday afternoon. So it'll be those 3 stories this week in the Chicago Crusader.
Great stuff, Papa. We will see you on Friday.
Peace.
All right, guys, we got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk a little hoops with our man from the Hoopstradamus podcast, the one, the only, the fantastic Mr. Fu himself, Adam Shalafu, coming up next. So some Bulls talk right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
Hey, this is Gary Payton, and we listen to Shawn and Maya in the morning. Do that.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash
on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
The Blackhawks got ripped last night, 6-1 on the road at Dallas. They trailed 2-0 after the first. Dallas scored 3 times in the second period. Chicago's only goal came in the middle frame. That was off the stick of Matthias Janmark. Malcolm Subban with 31 saves in the setback as Chicago drops to 13-9-5. They'll play again tomorrow night in Dallas. The Hawks looking to snap a 2-game slide. The second half of the NBA season opens up tomorrow night for the Bulls. They're home against the 76ers, the team that currently leads the Eastern Conference by 5 games over the Nets. The Bulls 9th in the conference, 6 wins in their last 10, 7 games out of first place. Baseball spring training on Tuesday. It was the Cubs with a 9-8 win over the A's. The Padres doubled up the White Sox 4-2. The Mets 5-3 over the Cards.
Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330, 95.9 The Zone.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Printing you new signs for the times.
Get back to business with custom printed signs and sales materials. Staples has hundreds of designs to choose from, or just upload your own.
And now at Staples, get 15% off signs, posters, or decals when you spend $75 or more.
Some items printed same day when ordered before 2 p.m.
Save big on custom printing at Staples.
Ends 5/29/21. Exclusions apply. Limit one offer per customer. See store associate or visit staples.com/signage for details.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up a non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. Fever is a leading symptom of COVID, and using an accurate thermometer has never been more critical. In published studies, no-touch thermometers miss more fevers than they detect. While the new COVID vaccines are becoming more widely available, it is important to make sure you are protected. Monitor for fever with an accurate thermometer backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at Exergen.com, where accuracy matters.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. We just got done with the first hour of the show, and that's our top of the morning segment. We just got done with our man Joseph Phillips from the Chicago Crusader newspaper, but we're going to switch gears. We had to get this guy on Wednesdays, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he's got to say. He covers the Bulls. He is the host of and the founder of the Hoopstradamus podcast. You can find that here on SportsZone Chicago. You can find him on Twitter at Fantastic Mr. Fu, and that's F-O-U-X. Guys, welcome back to Shawn and Maya. Adam Shalafu. Adam, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, man. Happy to be here.
Dude, you look all relaxed and everything, just chill, laying back in the couch under the pillow, and like, what's up?
Oh, yeah. I was enjoying the Russell Wilson talk, you know. We obviously won't get into that, but I'm rooting for it, man. I would love to see him in the orange and blue. I got my NFL pillow back here.
Oh, that what that is? Oh, yeah. Okay. I see it over your left shoulder.
This one's so old, it's got an Oilers logo on it.
Shut the front door. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, dude. That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, man. But let's talk about these bullies. I think since the last time we spoke, recently, let me just put it that way, we've started to see them close out a game or two, where in the past, earlier this season, all the close games were not really going their way. Talk to me about the growth that you've seen from this team from the beginning of the season to this point.
I mean, it seems like a long time since everyone was hitting that panic button those first few games. You know, there was rough game against the Atlanta Hawks. The Pacers beat the crap out of them. And, you know, pain is a part of growth. I think they're starting to get some teeth, you know. And I think the worst game of the season so far as a fan for me was the Oklahoma City Thunder game. You know, they really should have won that, and they lost to a really scrappy, hard-nosed Oklahoma City team. But you're starting to see where those late games, they've kind of learned from some of those mistakes. And, you know, they're still leading the NBA in turnovers last I checked, but they're doing a much better job keeping it together down the stretch. And, you know, it's been an interesting little run for them. You know, that Pelicans game most recently was really, really tough. You know, they were able to hold on and get the 4-point win there. And even though they didn't get the W over the Nuggets, you know, they certainly played well in that fourth quarter, and that's one of the best teams in the West. That's the team I just said on the pod the other day, I actually believe is going to be back in the Western Conference Finals. Now that Timberwolves game, that was really promising. You know, the Timberwolves certainly aren't a formidable foe, but it's games like that where the Bulls before were kind of squandering those opportunities late. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to see them find ways to kind of step on the neck a little bit and put the game away. And in particular, Zach LaVine really showed up in overtime against the Timberwolves. That he was like, that game shouldn't even gotten there. I'm going to make sure I put it away. And so it's the killer instinct. They're starting to get it.
Dude, I couldn't have asked you, and we didn't, for a better setup, because my very next question was this. with Zach LaVine being at the All-Star game, talk to me about the importance of him hanging around superstars. When you're with the Bulls and you're the big man on campus, you're the big man on campus. Okay, there's nothing anyone can pretty much say to you except the coach, and even at that particular point, it's like, I'm doing my job. When you're around freaking ballers, when you're around LeBron, you're around Steph, you're around KD, you're around game time, Dame time. You're with all these superstars. All of a sudden, you're not the big man on campus anymore. And he talked to me how important it was for him to be around these guys, absorb and pick their ear, and bring whatever he brought back, whatever he can get from those guys, back to the Bulls.
Well, sometimes I think back to, these pictures of LeBron James, and he's always like this. And he's like, Shawn, you got to come to Colorado. Like, hey, man, come out to Boulder. You know what I mean? He's always whispering in people's ears. I think that the power of the player right now has never been higher. And so the first thing I think about is actually like recruiting possibilities. I think it's great. He's going to be able to kind of pick their mind. And I think for him, it's a big, what's the word for it? It's affirmation. He was playing at an all-star level last year, but wasn't quite there. But I think this is hopefully going to seal some confidence in him that, like, yeah, I really am as good as I think I am, and help him to have a little bit more swagger. He's already got plenty of it, but he's got every right to be confident. He's one of the best pure scorers in the NBA. And I hope that this also kind of puts the Bulls back on the map as far as what they're going to be able to do with the money that is going to be coming off the books for Otto Porter, and other expiring contracts. I believe Felicia's coming up this year too. And he's on like $8 million or something ridiculous.
Ridiculous is right.
Yeah, but I think it's it's obviously great, man. I do think watching that dunk contest, which I thought sucked, I was like, it's a shame Zach's not out there because he would have won this by landslide. But it's a big moment. It's a big moment to get to your first All-Star game. And it's not like he really showed out. He's not like one of the superstars yet, but this is the first step, like Jimmy.
One of the things I said, Adam, is like in that game, exactly what you just said. He didn't stand out, good or bad. Which means when he's with a whole bunch of, which means he raised his game, his level of play adjusted to everybody around him. And if you can play at that level, man, I just think it showed that he belongs. And I think he belonged. But once, as you said, when he was validated by getting a nod to go to the All-Star game and then playing and not being the worst guy on the floor, I think that gave him a whole bunch of more. His confidence shot through the roof. Truth be told.
Yeah, I hope so, man. And we're gonna see, because that is what the Bulls need right now. Short term is they look to try to get back to 500 and eventually better than 500. And long term, because that's a great place to kind of network and recruit. That's the name of the game these days, as crazy as that is.
Yeah. So, Ivan, I know you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, what's up, Adam? I just want to know, coming down the stretch, I know guys like Lowry, guys like guys on the bubble, like a Thad Young. First of all, do you see guys like that being moved like anytime soon, or do you see guys like that actually, more in particular Lowry, playing himself back into favor? Because I feel like at this point, I think everybody, the consensus is Lowry's going to be gone at the end of the year, or at least at some point. Do you think he plays himself back into favor? And I know this is like the age-old question, but does he have what it takes to make the front office have the justification for keeping him?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually think that Lowry's played some of the best basketball of his career this year. He's been hurt too, but Billy Donovan fixed him. He fixed his confidence. And last year he was kind of relegated to this spot up or spot and shoot scorer from the corner. And it really wasn't utilizing all the skills he has. He's a pretty good driver, like he's gotten stronger. I think it's so easy to forget how much younger players are in the one and done era, but I do think that he's played some of his best basketball. And the thing about him and Thad is I think not necessarily both, but if the Bulls do make a move for Lonzo Ball, I think that one of those guys is going to be in the package. Lauri Markkanen's in a similar situation to Lonzo, so it might be just a situation where the Bulls are like, hey, we can keep Thad at power forward or, run more of a smaller offense with Pat Williams at power forward, but like we want a true point guard. So if they're going to try to shift their identity in that regard, I could see them doing something like that. Now Thaddeus Young's playing some great basketball, and I believe he's on for another year after this. And so I think that does make him a valuable trade chip. And I have conflicted feelings about that because I really think he's a super important veteran on this team, but he's, in his 30s, I believe he's 32, and his window doesn't line up with the young talent on the Bulls window. I think he's quickly become a fan favorite. Stacey King has this way of really,
he loves that.
Yeah. And when you get Stacey's seal of approval and he starts giving you a nickname, hot sauce, whatever, you quickly become endeared with the fan base here. And I think rightfully so, Thaddeus has certainly earned that. I do think that there's a chance one of those guys get moved. I would be surprised if both of them get moved. Thaddeus Young's contract lines up pretty well with Lonzo Ball's. The only thing is you wouldn't be able to do a straight up Thad for Lonzo because Lonzo is a more valuable asset the way he's been playing this season, and the fact that I believe he's only 23 years old, and so you want to give that young guy time to shine, time to develop. I would be okay with the Thaddeus Young trade for Lonzo, and I don't know how I would feel about a Lauri Markkanen. But I do think that those, just the things I'm reading is that the Bulls, sure enough, like I talked about on the show, have expressed interest in Lonzo and they've expressed interest in Drummond. I don't think either of those guys would be part of a Drummond trade, but maybe a Lonzo trade.
Guys, we're joined by Adam Shalafu. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the founder of the Hoopstradamus podcast, talking Bulls basketball right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. You brought up a phenomenal point. People forget the age of these kids in the one and done era. So let's be honest. Lauri Markkanen is 23 years old.
Yeah.
That is the age where some people come out of college.
I believe Larry Bird was a rookie when he was 23.
Depending on when your birthday starts, you know what I mean? You could start a year, if you got held back a year, whatever.
Yeah.
But you're talking about now you're 22, 23 years old, and then you still have to learn the NBA game once you get there. This guy's been in the NBA. We've seen him drop 30. We've seen his all-around game, his spot-up threes game, which he had to do last year, his put it on the floor game, his back to the basket game, his take it off the – there's so many things that Lauri – so many arsenals or so many weapons in his arsenal. Do you want to seriously do people or the Bulls want to label him as too injury prone to keep around? Because when you see the talent, what happens if he goes somewhere and just becomes a monster and he could have been here? Because that's so Chicago. Well, we'll pass you up and then you go somewhere else and all of a sudden you're a star. Are you still willing to trade him, or is he like a last ditch resort? Because again, he still is only 23 years old.
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging 19 points a game. Man. Like he was. Last year was bad. Last year I was hitting sell on Lauri. I was like, this guy's soft. This guy's not someone I want long term. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing that he's only played 14 games this season. And so I don't know. It's like the injury stuff's so crazy. I always think of Matt Stafford, because Matt Stafford, his first few years in the NFL, I was like, this guy's Matt Glassford. He's made of glass. He's always hurt. He's never going to be a good quarterback, But I think that sometimes people are just snake bit, and injuries are the hardest thing to predict in sports.
Yeah, you can.
Like you had a guy like look at LeBron James been extremely fortunate. He's like Iron Man, right? Derrick Rose, like no one was going to be like, oh, this guy's going to blow out his knee. You can't predict that kind of stuff. And so it's always really hard to say whether someone's injury prone or if that's just like a word we use. But yeah, at some point you got to kind of evaluate that, because if someone can't stay on the floor, that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, and that probably ties with.
So Adam, is his potential worth waiting for? Because you see what he can do. You see what he can do. He could drop 30 on you. He could be the man. He can literally carry a team to victory. And he's 7 feet. He can do everything: pass, dribble, off the shot, set screens, rebound, 3 points, mid range. This guy can do everything. Are you willing? Do you think the Bulls should be willing to wait because of his potential and his not getting hurtedness? That's an old phrase I just made up.
Yeah, that's such a tough question, man, because like he's showing like close to 20 points a game. He's been way more aggressive. Like when he's on the floor, he's nice,
very nice.
But what's he going to want money-wise?
Well, he can't ask for a lot. Put it this way: when you're playing, half the games or less than half the games of the season, you can't ask. The Bulls should say, we'll offer you half of what you're asking for. We'll give you half of what you're asking for, because you're not going to, look at the question. This is from Kingley Man. Said, do the Bulls trade for a player like Andre or Lonzo Ball, knowing that they're in the last year of their contract?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, Andre Drummond.
I thought too. Yes.
Yeah. The thing about the Andre Drummond situation is, you're not going to have to pay a ton for him. You're going to have to probably max or like match the contract, but you can do that with, Otto Porter, which could really help the Cavs. And like, they're talking about like maybe buying him out. And so I don't want to see him go to the Lakers or the Nets, but I think that if the Bulls were to make a trade for a guy like Andre Drummond, then they'd be able to like see how he fits in with the team. And if it works, you keep him around. And if not, no. Now, Lonzo Ball, that seems like a more obvious fit, right? And so if they got Lonzo Ball, I think they would there might be still a little bit of a feeling out factor, but I think that they'd be more like, all right, let's trade for this guy and let's lock him up, and then make him our, point guard, move Kobe to 6 man, Zach at the 2, and then you can even have a lineup where you're going Lonzo at the 1, Kobe at the 2, Zach at the 3, because all those dudes are pretty big. And so it gives you a lot of weapons and versatility, and I think that's a more obvious fit in need right now for the Chicago Bulls, because the jury's still out on Wendell Carter.
Yeah, I agree. He's another one who's got to stay healthy. He's got to do a much better job. And we forget he's only 21 years old, 22 years old.
Yeah.
We again, you brought up that point a few moments ago, and we do forget, because in today's society, we want instant gratification. We want a kid coming out who's 19 who drops 25 and who gives us 25 and 10 a night. Well, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. You have to be an unbelievably special player to do that. And there aren't a lot of unbelievably special players coming out of the draft. Talented, yes, but unbelievably special, no. So you have to let them grow. And then when you're coming from an AAU system, so 1 year in college, and I know it's going to be gone this year, but 1 year in college, and chances are you weren't taught the fundamentals. You were just running up and down with the other blue chippers that came in with you. and you're coming from AAU, which doesn't play. I think it's forbidden in the rules that you play defense in AAU. And in your high school team, you're the man. You don't have to play defense. Like you're coming from a culture that's not playing defense. You know what I mean? You're coming from that culture, and you have to learn all these things. You have to learn them. You have to be taught them. You have to be, it just takes time. And Wendell Carter, as much as he loves playing defense, I still think he has a long way to go, and he needs to be, he needs to be coached. And thank goodness now that they have a player development staff on this organization. Isn't that just unbelievable? It's not that we didn't even have a staff before. We didn't have a person, a coach, but now we have a department, a player development department. I don't know, man. I like Lowry here. I like bringing ball over, and our guy Jason Palmer, who's a host of the What's Up Cuz show here on SportsZone Chicago. He sat in with me on Monday, and when I ran the Lonzo or the Kobe White to the 6 man run the second unit, he was like, "Wow, I didn't even think about that." I was like, "Yeah, get him with guys who aren't as talented. Get him playing against guys who aren't as talented, so he can get some confidence. He can learn how to be a facilitator if that's eventually what you want him to be." Because Kobe White's 20 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all these guys, they're because they're so young and they're so malleable. I think it's, we're not going to win the NBA title this year.
Right.
Okay. As much as I'm a homer, as much as I love the Bulls and Michael Jordan and all that stuff, it's be realistic. You're not going to win it this year. You're not going to win it next year. So why don't you take these years, these times to add pieces, but also develop the players in the positions that you want them to be in. Because the most important thing to me, Adam, in a championship team is a definition of roles. Once you know your role, now this is all you focus on. And the Bulls, and this is what they're doing, in my opinion. It looks like, that Billy the Kid's just saying, "Oh, what do I have? Here's what I have. Can he do this? Can he not do this? Okay, he can do this good. He can't do this good." I think he's just trying to see what he's got. So next year you can say, "Okay, look, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're going to do that. This is what I need from everybody." Like, you didn't ask Craig Hodges to go and rebound.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what they're doing now. And once they get those, damn, Adam, I think we have a very, very, very dangerous squad.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing the lights just start to come on, especially with the exciting Bulls offense.
They are, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, Adam, we got to let you go because we got another guest coming, but I need you to let everybody know where they can find you and your work online.
Find me on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Listen to the Hoopstradamus podcast there. It's at the bottom of the screen there, and we are doing some exciting new stuff coming up. I'm actually in about half an hour going to talk to David Harrison. He was a member of the Indiana Pacers during the Malice in the Palace brawl. So we're going to be talking about Malice in the Palace. We're going to be talking about a lot with him. That's a guy who got drafted by Larry Bird, spent some time with one of the best teams never to get a chance to win a championship with all those suspensions. So a lot of good stuff. We got our interview with Kendall Gill on there, interview with Sam Smith on there. So we're always looking to talk to people about Bulls and around the NBA. And also a great place. If you want to get your hand on some sports trivia, reach out to me on Twitter at Hoopstradamus1. We do have a trivia show, the Full Court Trap. That's obviously on the feed as well. So check that out. And we're always looking for new participants to compete in that. And so, yeah, fantastic Mr. Fu on Twitter, and then Hoopstradamus podcast wherever you listen.
Right. And also you can listen to the Hoopstradamus podcast here on SportsZone Chicago. Hey, great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week. All right.
All right. Have a good one, man.
All right. Now, guys, that's Adam Shalafu from the Hoopstradamus podcast, talking Bulls. And man, we have one other question. We didn't get to it. He said, Kingley, man, I've been honestly hearing that a lot of teams have the rise in. Do you believe he gets moved before the trade deadline? We didn't get to ask Adam that. My thoughts. I don't know if they move him. I still think I personally think that they keep him because you really need to see. I think this is an evaluation year. I think this is a year where they see what you have, what your players, what your guys can do, what they can't do. And I don't know if you get rid of a Denzel Valentine, because you see what he's done on that second unit. You know, Stacy calls him OMG, which I love, for the old man's game, because if you look at him, he's not very fast. He's not very quick. Doesn't jump very high, but he scores. But he makes things happen. And, you know, kind of like an old man. So, you know, when you're an old guy in a basketball court, you play with a lot of young bucks, and you play with the fundamentals, and you make the good pass, and you know, because you can't jump very high or move very fast. That's how the old men play at the park, or, you know, at the court, at the spot. And that's how Denzel's playing. Just like he's not an old man. he just has that old man's game. But an old man's game, you know what that really means? That really stands for is like a high basketball IQ. Is where I can do. I know what to do. My body just can't get there very fast anymore. And it's unfortunate for Denzel that he's not as quick, you know, as a lot of other people. But, you know, the mind. And, you know, we know sports for the most part, baseball, or football, basketball, like they're really 90% mental. You know, you got to be in the right spot. You have to make the right pass. You got to do the right thing. Talent helps, but there's so much to the mental component of the game that if you're mentally sharp, you can play in a lot of these sports till your late 30s, early 40s. Look at some guy named Tom something or other. He won that football game. I forgot his name. That guy. So, you know, when your IQ in your sport is really, really high, you don't have to move as fast as other people, because you see things happening before they happen, and you can make the necessary plays, you know, with your vision.
Well, you know, I feel like I'm happy Denzel's playing at a high level, because I always thought he was that guy. I mean, maybe I gave him more of the benefit of the doubt athletically, but the basketball knowledge, his knowledge of on the court, you know, that was never in doubt. But what was suppressing that was bad coaching, and you see,
very true,
a very knowledgeable player, you know, flourishing with really good coaching. So I think that had something to do with Denzel's progress, and I really don't see it being that big of a surprise, knowing who his coach was last season. The name that I will not mention, and compared to this season, it's night and day. You know how better he's gotten.
It is night and day, and you know what? The reason is this: he came out of Tom Izzo's program at Michigan State. He played there for 4 years. First of all, Tom Izzo doesn't recruit idiots. Okay, Tom Izzo. You know, some programs will just go for blue chippers, and because of their athletic ability. Tom Izzo's not one of those guys. Tom Izzo he needs you to be smart, and playing for Tom Izzo for 4 years, his basketball IQ is through the roof. You know, people forget about that. Remember, we talked and we've mentioned it plenty of times, where going into the tournament, going into the dance, why a lot of mid-major schools do very well, and they upset a lot of these blue bloods or teams with a lot of 5-star recruits, a lot of one and dones, because you've been there 3 or 4 years. Okay, you have a lot more chemistry. You have guys who know how to facilitate. You have guys who know how to run the offense, especially if the guards have been there 3 and 4 years. Then you have guys who can settle it down. They're not overblown or overwhelmed by a situation. They're calm, cool, and collected, and that's why so many mid-major schools do well and go far in the tournament. And this is what I think about Denzel. The same thing. You're playing a Tom Izzo, playing for a Tom Izzo team. His basketball IQ is through the roof. He's calm. He's cool. He's collected. He sees things before they happen, and he makes them happen. And it's a beautiful thing. I don't want him to go. I want him on that second unit. Imagine him and Kobe on that second unit. Whoo, Charlie. That's what I'm talking about. And because I'm telling you, I think we got it. Stacy, all Stacy has to do is Stacy has to anoint them, the bench mob 3.0, and there it is. Just appoint them. That's it. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk Tag You're It. Tag You're It. Beth Mischler-Elmore, who covers the Bears for Heavy.com, is going to join us, and we're going to talk about Tag You're It. The Bears signed arguably their most important offensive player. They tag him. Is he happy about it? Is he not? What are the Bears going to do? Are they going to work on a long-term deal? We're going to find out. We're going to talk to Beth Mischler-Elmore on the other side of the break. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Shawn and Maya in the morning.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash
on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
The Blackhawks got ripped last night, 6-1 on the road at Dallas. They trailed 2-0 after the first. Dallas scored 3 times in the second period. Chicago's only goal came in the middle frame. That was off the stick of Matthias Janmark. Malcolm Subban with 31 saves in the setback as Chicago drops to 13-9-5. They'll play again tomorrow night in Dallas. The Hawks looking to snap a 2-game slide. The second half of the NBA season opens up tomorrow night for the Bulls. They're home against the 76ers, the team that currently leads the Eastern Conference by 5 games over the Nets. The Bulls 9th in the conference, 6 wins in their last 10, 7 games out of first place. Baseball spring training on Tuesday. It was the Cubs with a 9-8 win over the A's. The Padres doubled up the White Sox 4-2. The Mets 5-3 over the Cards.
Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Printing you new signs for the times.
Get back to business with custom printed signs and sales materials. Staples has hundreds of designs to choose from, or just upload your own.
And now at Staples, get 15% off signs, posters, or decals when you spend $75 or more.
Some items printed same day when ordered before 2 p.m.
Save big on custom printing at Staples.
Ends 5/29/21. Exclusions apply. Limit 1 offer per customer. See store associate or visit staples.com/signage for details.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up a non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. Fever is a leading symptom of COVID, and using an accurate thermometer has never been more critical. In published studies, no-touch thermometers miss more fevers than they detect. While the new COVID vaccines are becoming more widely available, it is important to make sure you are protected. Monitor for fever with an accurate thermometer backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at Exergen.com, where accuracy matters.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. We just got done with our guy Adam Shalafu talking Bulls basketball, but we got to switch gears. And now you're talking in my wheelhouse, although all sports are my wheelhouse. But my most favorite is this sport in the whole world, and that is a proper grammar term. Most favorite is this. That's proper grammar. That's proper grammar. Yeah. Most favorite is this sport in the whole world is football. This lady covers the Bears for Heavy.com. She wrote an article, and we're going to talk about Tag Your It. Who are they happy or not? Guys, this said she writes for she's a writer for Heavy.com, also the Bear Report. Man, she's moving on up. She's writing for everybody in the Bears. I love it. You can follow her on Twitter she got a new Twitter handle. Lord have mercy. It used to be Beth Mr. Elmo, but now she's like Bear Down Beth. I like this one, Beth. I like this one. Let's bring her out, our girl, Beth Mr. Elmore. Welcome back.
Hey, Shawn, how's it going?
I love that new Twitter handle.
Thank you. Yeah, it felt fitting. You know, I don't think I realized how kind of awkward my name sounded until I heard you say it. And I'm like, I really got to mix that up. And it just kind of came to me one day. So thank you. I appreciate it. I like it.
Love it. Bear Down Beth. You know what? That's up there with the guy who covers the Hawks for the Rink Official, his site, and his Puckin' Hostel. That's his.
That's better. That's grade A right there.
So let's get right to it. Our boys, they tag your it. Allen Robinson, tag your $18 million. If you just sign your name, we just need your John Hancock. That's all we need. Bears tag Allen Robinson yesterday to the tune of about $18 million. That's what the wide receiver franchise tag is for this season. Your thoughts? Some people, there's reports talking about he might not be happy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's happy. He's pretty much expressed that as subtly as he can on Twitter, and his agent, if you kind of follow his agent and watch Brandon Parker's responses to certain tweets, it's obvious that A-Rob would prefer, as most, I would think every player would, to get a long-term deal, to get that security that he wants, that he deserves. I think the real surprise would have been if they didn't tag him for sure. We saw this coming, when Chris Godwin was tagged, it was just a matter of time before they, made it official with A-Rob. I do think if I read Brad Bigg's report this morning on the Chicago Tribune, and I'm kind of in his line of thinking where if they don't get something ironed out soon and pay him a little bit better than a guy like Keenan Allen, who's making about $20 million a year. I'm seeing around $22 million for A-Rob, maybe a little bit less, but I think he deserves at least 22. I think that there's going to be no OTAs. There's going to be no team activities. I think he's going to use what little power and what voice he has in the situation, because the team kind of took that from him by tagging him yesterday.
Yeah, but this is all collectively bargained, so it's a strategy that the players understand, and they have until July 18th to work out a deal. I'm never against players going to get their money, especially when you deserve it. Especially when you deserve it. And Allen Robinson has deserved it. He could do a little better on the blocking end of it, but I'll take his catches. And not everybody's perfect, but $20 million, Beth. That's a lot, because if you have to go and you go make a trade for Russell Wilson, which is another thing that's huge, that's in the forefront, it's all over it's on the back of the paper today. Okay, Russell Wilson, he's got a huge contract that he's got to pay. The cap number just came out today, 182.5, I think is what they said. So you're going to have to get your quarterbacks numbers in there. Allen Robinson, you'll forget you still got a guy named Khalil Mack's numbers in there. You still got a guy named Robert Quinn's numbers in there. You got a lot of big contracts in there. I don't know. I mean, maybe they can make it a little more feasible. Say, hey, we'll give you $17 million with incentives. You got to catch 80 balls a year. We know damn well he's going to catch 80 balls a year. For another $500,000, catch 7 touchdown passes. Okay, for another $500,000, because those are creative ways that capologists can kind of skirt around the salary cap.
Yep.
But can they do that, or do you think Allen Robinson says, no, I want my money. I want it all.
Here's the thing. I think if in this scenario you're talking about, that involves a guy like Russell Wilson, and I think if a guy like Russell Wilson is involved, I think A-Rob will take a backloaded contract, for example. I think that's going to be the route that they have to go with that, and they can still give him what he thinks he deserves, but they can also give him something which he's never had, which is a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I think that is something that he's been craving as well, and that could give the Bears a lot of leeway in negotiations if in fact they're working on something as big as a Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson. That's a game changer. And also one of the thoughts that I had, and I've been thinking this for a while now, especially since the NFL has been changing the last couple of years. It's an offensive league now. We're going to keep Khalil Mack, but we're going to have to also make some tough decisions if in fact we get a quarterback like Russ Wilson, Akeem Hicks or Kyle Fuller. We might not be able to keep both of them, or we could restructure them. Maybe they'll be willing to take less money. It's going to require some sacrifices and some hard decisions from players and management alike. I think it can be done. And I think Ryan Pace of all GMs is the king of backloading contracts and pushing things to the future. So that alone gives me hope that they could maybe pay A-Rob what he thinks he's worth and maybe just have him take a little bit less this season, because they just set the cap at 182.5, and that's not good for the Bears. After tagging him, they're already way over. And, we know they're getting rid of Massey and Screen. There's more cuts coming. And I have a feeling we're going to see a surprise or two next week, maybe Charles Leno, maybe Akeem Hicks, which wouldn't make me happy, but it's going to be a crazy year from everything I'm seeing and hearing.
Guys, we're talking to Beth Mitchell-Elmore. She covers the Bears for Heavy.com and also the Bear Report, talking Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. Well, there's a guy that they can go get. He played for him cheap. Well, then again, maybe not, because he said Kyle Long is coming out of retirement and says the Bears could get him for a lot cheaper than people think, but his pride is in the way. Is he anywhere on the radar for the Bears because of his comments toward Matt Nagy and that whole staff and his 1 year off?
No, I don't think. I think Matt Nagy's probably a pretty prideful man too, and if he's
we know that one.
Yeah. So if he's seen anything that Kyle Long has said or done on Twitter in the last year, I think that's absolutely not going to happen again. I actually, I've seen a couple Packers beat writers tweeting about Kyle Long. I absolutely wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Long came back and played for the Packers, because I know for a fact he loves and respects Aaron Rodgers in a huge way, and would probably, he's going to get a 1 year deal somewhere. But I really don't think it's Chicago. I think it's going to be a team, like he said, he wants to go have fun somewhere, he said, which was also pretty telling, because he doesn't think it would be fun in Chicago playing under Nagy. He loves the players there. but the staff, it's clear he's got zero respect or love for Nagy and company over there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Long played for a team like a contender. I know he wants a Super Bowl too. His brothers won 2. His dad's a legend. And for his first 3 years had such promise that I think he can still kind of taste, 2013 to 2015. And I think I think he's got his body ready. He's got his mind right. And I think if he lands with a team, he's going to maybe be a little judicious and try to hopefully land with somebody who's got a quarterback like Rodgers, or maybe, I don't know that they need him in Kansas City, but I know he'd love to play for a quarterback, just like A-Rob would probably love to play with the quarterbacks. So that's my thoughts on Kyle.
Yeah, you know what? I think that year off did him wonders because he actually dropped down to 255.
Yeah.
The report. So he dropped down from 335, which is what they listed him with the Bears, from 335 to 255. That's 80 pounds.
Nuts.
That's a lot of weight. And that, what that does, that takes a lot of pressure and stress off your joints and ligaments, your bones, all that stuff. And then, and then he put it back on. He said he's about 315 now, which I think is a great weight for him.
Yeah.
And the only thing that my concern with him is now that he's older and has some injuries, how is he going to be? Because that was his calling card. He was a mauler, and he would love to just put you in the ground, spit on you and tell you it's going to happen again the next play. And those are the types of linemen I used to like to run behind. Trust me. But that was his game. And so my question or my thought is, will he be as nasty or find as much motivation as he had early on now as he did back then?
I think he probably will. I mean, I don't know that you can take the nasty out of players like Kyle Long. I think it's just built in. It was refreshing watching him. The Bears need a guy like him now, but he just couldn't stay healthy. I mean, I don't think he was in 10 full games since that 2015 season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he might, like his last full season with the Bears, he talked about that Raiders game in 2019. And it was basically like, I did my best, but I went out there and I couldn't help being a turnstile. Mm-hmm. I don't think I think if he gets hurt again, I think he'll probably just extricate himself from the situation. I don't think he ever would want to be, kind of a detriment to his team. I think he's going to be a beast. And I think the beast is just built in with Kyle Long. I think he's just a fierce competitor. And when he's out there, I don't think he can turn that off. I think the only thing that, if he gets hurt again, which I hope doesn't happen, I'd love to see him finish a year. It'd be an incredible story. But if he were to get hurt again, I think he probably just wouldn't see the field again. I don't think he's going to play through it and play half-assed, as they say. That's just it's not him.
No, definitely not. So have you heard anything? The Russell Wilson situation, like I said, he's on the back page of the Times today. One of the earlier callers, and we mentioned that in the top of the morning segment, and one of our fans said, would 3 number ones and Rowe, I'm trying to find it again, would that be enough? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Give me your thoughts on what you think the Bears. There it is, 2 number ones and Kyle Fuller. Is that enough for a Russell Wilson?
I don't think so. No, I think you'd have to sweeten the deal with like a Roquan Smith or a Jalen Johnson or another first-round pick, maybe a couple second rounds. They're going to want, if they're going to get rid of a guy who makes just about everything happen for them, they're going to want a lot more than that in return. I think they probably laugh at that deal. Actually, I don't see them kind of taking 2 picks at all. I think it's going to be bottom line 3 picks from everything I've seen. That's what people are saying, in addition to a few young players. And Kyle Fuller he's not, on the wrong side of 30, as they say, yet, but he's not as young as and has as much career ahead of him as like Jalen Johnson or Roquan Smith, or even on the other side, Darnell Mooney or Cole Kmet even. So I think they're going to need to sweeten the deal with more players than that. And maybe Kyle Fuller or Akeem Hicks, or even I've heard Khalil Mack. A few people have proposed that, including a Seahawks beat writer. But I wouldn't be opposed to anything to get Russell Wilson here, but it's definitely going to take more than 2 firsts and a solid vet to get him there.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to take. I don't think they'd take Khalil Mack, just because you're getting rid of one huge contract to replace it with another, and with the cap being so low this year, such a reduced rate this year, you're not going to want to just swap it out. You're going to want to get, if they're going to make a trade, you're going to want those picks so you can have these guys under control. You're going to want someone else who just doesn't cost as much. So that's why now the Bears are in hell, because you got Khalil Mack, you have Robert Quinn, You just signed Danny Trevathan the other last offseason. So now you're franchising Allen Robinson, and then you're going to bring over Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, more like the Russell Wilson deal, and his contract is huge too. So you're going to have, I think the Bears are going to have like 30 players on the roster.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. They're all going to be over 30 and on defense too. So that's going to be, pretty much the cap and the allocations on defense and for veterans alone. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's the highest in the league, and I just like I was talking about earlier. Sorry about the dog there. Like I was talking about earlier, it's an offensive league now. I mean, I love defense more than anybody, but you've got to kind of adjust accordingly to what the rest of the league is doing and to what they're doing well and what is successful. And right now, it's defense is not winning championships. That's offense. Although I say that, and Tampa Bay just turned in a hell of a defensive performance, but that seems to be more the exception than the rule lately, especially with like how things have been going during the regular seasons in order to get them to the postseason. So.
Yeah, that's my thought too. Like it is an offensive league. All the rules are designed to help people score. People want to see touchdowns. They want to see the dances. They want to see the celebrations. This is why all these rules have changed. What do you think about an offensive lineman? They just cut Robert Massey. Are they going to get rid of Leno? Do you think because of his high? I mean, his high hit, but his dead cap money is huge as well. So do you sit with him one more year? Or do you say, you know what, I'm really done with this guy because the guy, and truth be told, Beth, trust me, I am no J. Charles Leno fan by any stretch. None. Okay. But in that series of games where the Bears scored 30 points or more, it was like 4 or 5 consecutive games. You don't score 30 points in 5 games with your left tackle being horse crap. You don't. Okay. But what happens is you make adjustments around him, which is what Bill Lazor does. Talk to me about how you think Matt Nagy is going to play this. Is Matt Nagy going to be the play caller or Bill Lazor? Because if Bill Lazor calls the plays, then I can keep J. Charles Leno for another year because we're going to run the ball. We're going to take the edge off the defensive line, not being able to go straight at the quarterback and respect the run game. But if Nagy has his dirty little grubby fingers on his offense, well, we've seen how that worked in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think it's everything is going to depend on the quarterback, and I think Mitch is obviously Mitch is gone, and I think with someone new, I really don't think there's a question that Nagy's going to have his fingerprints all over the offense. I think it was obvious that even when Bill Lazor was calling plays at the end of last year, there were a couple times where you knew Nagy was stepping in or kind of taking over and deciding things, and usually they were kind of plays that made you groan afterwards because it was obvious what was happening. And I think it's going to be pretty obvious if that's happening, but I just don't see he's never not done it. We've never seen evidence to where he's completely washed his hands and said, go ahead, I'm going to sit back and truly coach all 3 phases and be more available to the other aspects instead of missing plays that happen where my players are fighting, but I'm lost in my play sheet because I'm so worried about what I'm going to call next.
So that's the issue. And I just think he's too arrogant to stay away, because I think Nagy would be a great head coach if he was we'd use a basketball term, a facilitator. Like, okay, I'll give you the offense, I'll give you the defense, I'll give you the special teams. Just call me when it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, and I'll make that decision. He can't do that, and that's going to be his downfall. And that's what one of the jobs of the general manager. Like, look, here's what we did when you weren't calling the plays. Toward the end, when in that game, toward the Green Bay Packer game, he had his hand in that play call and the play calling. And the playoff game, he had his hands in the play because we went away from the run. It's just that simple. Because Bill Lazor's not going to – we went away from the run. He had Mr. Trubisky throw more. These are all things that Bill Lazor knew that Mr. Trubisky couldn't do. You can't run the ball less and have him throw the ball more. It just doesn't work. It hasn't worked, and that's exactly what it reverted to. So I think Ryan Pace has to feel this and say, hey, listen, you might want to be just a CEO and let everybody run their own divisions in their own sections of this corporation we call the Chicago Bears, and they only need you for, do we go for it on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1?
Yeah, but they've got to collaborate. They've got to.
I forgot about that. I forgot about the collaboration. I forgot about the collaboration.
Yeah, that's what makes them tick. That and the coaching staff, according to Pace and Nagy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most interesting question I have is if by some miracle, which I don't, in my heart of hearts, I don't think it's going to happen no matter how much I want Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson to finally give the Bears a franchise quarterback. But if by some miracle the Bears did land either of those two, it would clearly be best for Nagy to hands off, especially a playmaker like Wilson, who can decide at the line of scrimmage what he's going to do and do it. You've got to let those guys play. You've got to let them go. And I just can't help but wonder, if they got a guy like that, would Nagy be able to do that? Would he be able to recognize that these players bring more to the offense than he ever could, and that he should just let them play because they can actually see the field in a way that Mitch Trubisky never could and probably never will? So.
That's a great point. And that's one of the reasons why I think Russell Wilson is seriously hoping the Bears get him, because when at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what Nagy says, because if Russell sees this, I'm a Super Bowl winning quarterback. It should be a 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. Thanks, Pete Carroll, but that's another story. And I can see things, and I know what you called. I know but it's different. And I'm here. I'm running the reins. And when it's all said and done, Nagy's going to be pissed about it. But they were like, "Hey, great call there, coach." And he's gonna be winning games. And I think I'm hoping that credit that he gets will satisfy his ego enough to say, okay, you know what? Maybe Russell Wilson can call a game without me meddling. Maybe. I'm not put it this way. I'm not betting on it, but just maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. I could see that happening because that's winning takes care of a lot of things, as they say. And so if he could just come, if Russ can cook in Chicago, I mean, I think Nagy would pretty much, especially if now that does leave the question that the offensive line. I don't know what they're gonna with Leno. We had talked about that. Russ said, pardon me, that he liked the young offensive line of the Bears per his agent. And so I'm wondering if, he's including Charles Leno in that. I think Leno would be suitable, certainly to play. But I think, if you've got Russell there, you don't have that 20th pick anymore. You don't have the picks that you need to bring in anybody to replace Bobby Massey or Leno if you decide to cut him. And so that means you're going to have to surf a market that is going to be rife with veterans. But if you're going to want the kind of talent that you're going to need at either of those positions in order to compete every week, then you're probably going to want one of the better veterans on the spectrum, and that requires money also. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I hope the Bears prioritize the quarterback position as much as I've been hearing, but that is going to leave guys like Leno and Fuller kind of on the cusp of, well, one or both of them might have to be cut if we're going to pay for a guy like Russell Wilson or a guy like Deshaun Watson, and then they're not going to be able to replace him in the draft. So Ryan Pace, I think, might be in the back of his mind relying on that sort of late draft magic or whatever the heck they call it, with where he found like Eddie Jackson and Tariq Cohen and Bilal Nichols, players that are really actually excellent in the later rounds. And I think maybe in the back of his head he's thinking, I got it. We're just late round everybody and make it work. But recently that hasn't really been the case, other than Darnell Mooney, I don't think. So I'm really interested to see what happens with this. It's fun. We finally have some juicy drama in Chicago to talk about with these quarterbacks, and it's wonderful. I love it.
Guys, we're joining Commissioner Elmore for another few moments. She covers the Bears for Heavy.com and Bear Report, and talking Chicago Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. And I've thought that, Beth. I've thought that, like, you know what? If we give up first round picks, who the hell cares? Matt Nagy is 25% on first round picks. He's betting 250. Okay, on first round picks. Let him do what he does best, and that's find guys 3 through 6 through 7 to the end of the draft, and he'll find guys, and they may be good for 1 or 2 years, but then he can go find someone else to replace them, and that might be his best course of action. Although he has done well in the second round, aside from Adam Shaheen, he did find the 2 guards and go Komet. So his second round picks are being good, but his 3rd through 7 are good. So I've always wondered that. Last question before we let you go: what about the running game? Because if by some strange miracle, que milagro, it happens that Bill Lazor calls the plays, which I think 98% he's not, and we want to run the ball, are you okay with just David Montgomery? And I know Tariq Cohen's coming back, but he's not a true running back. Do you go and you draft a guy a good running back, maybe in the third, fourth, or fifth round to complement David Montgomery, because if you have a two-headed monster, and that's what a lot of teams seem to have, you have one bell cow and then you have another guy who get another 10 to 15 carries, that really helps your quarterback. Hint, hint. I'm speaking to you, Coach Nagy. Do you think they go deep? They're looking at running back in a draft or in free agency? Because that running back up north, they didn't tag him, and he is one hell of a running back.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they'd pay Aaron Jones simply because of the money that they have, but he's going to be – I think it's going to be curious to see what he gets paid, because he's going to kind of set the tone this offseason for the running backs, I think. And I think the draft would probably be the best way for them to address it. It's the cheapest way and the most practical way, and they definitely need someone. And as much as I love Cordero Patterson, I don't know that they're going to keep him around either. He's been kind of tweeting, like, where's my extension kind of thing. And he filled in for Cohen last year, but he was kind of more like a gadget back, and he didn't really feel like a true running back either. And I am curious about Artavis Pierce. There were flashes. There weren't a lot of opportunities. I'm wondering if perhaps they went and they hired his college coach now, and he's going to be there. And so I'm wondering kind of what that means for him. I've got my eye on him this offseason because he could make a jump in year two, because I don't think anybody's counting on Ryan Nall to be the answer.
No, I like you, Ryan. You're good. You're good peoples, but I just don't do it. So I was on a buddy of mine's, the Tape Never Lies network, and last Saturday, and we broke down the running backs because that was my position in high school, college, and when I played overseas. And so we looked at the Cordell Patterson. So we looked at all of them. We looked at Tariq Cohen, obviously David Montgomery, Patterson, and then Artavius Pierce. Cordell Patterson could be a good running back with time, and the Bears don't have the time. See, what he likes to do is he's a kick returner, and so he likes to hit everything 100 miles an hour. Yeah. And as a run, and so and the plays we were breaking down, like he missed a couple of holes because he just blew past it so fast because he's in kick return mode, and like had you been patient and you waited for a minute, that hole would have developed, and you had a nice easy shot, a nice clear shot. So I don't think, and then he wants more money. Like, yeah, you better. I'd like it because he's big, he's tall. One hand doesn't bring him down. One guy usually doesn't bring him down. But if he can ask for crazy money, no, I'm not. And then you mentioned Artavius Pierce. Pierce was good in his limited number of reps. I think he needs more reps. So if they do stay with him and give him more time, I think I'd be okay with it. Him and David Montgomery. And then Tariq Cohen as a change of pace and as a scat back, as a screen guy, a little circle kind of guy, put Tariq in space or on the outside or in space. I think they'll be good at the running back spot. And whoever the quarterback is, they're getting another huge weapon. Very oxymoronic statement, a huge weapon in Tariq Cohen coming back healthy this year. So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I love Cordero Patterson too. I really hope the Bears can re-sign him and find a way to. I mean, just his rapport with the fans alone makes me. I mean, you can't not love the guy. But hopefully, again, I go back to the quarterback position. If the Bears can get someone there, like the Bucs did with Tom Brady last year, guys want to come. They want it. They'll take pay cut a little bit less. They'll do that to play with Russ Wilson or Deshaun Watson. And so I think a lot of these guys are kind of, and maybe the Bears are waiting too to see what happens. I think with their negotiations or with their offers, because I think they've been completely active trying to contact both the Texans and the Seahawks. I don't think. Hopefully, Ryan Pace is constantly charging his phone. He should be.
They're plugged in.
Yeah, I think if by some miracle they land one of those guys, or if Pace is kind of like, listen, we're gonna work something out. Just be patient. That miracles will happen, and we might be able to get people like Cordero Patterson and A-Rob to both come back on reasonable deals or deals that are affordable, at least for this year and the next. But a lot's going to depend on whether or not Pace can pull off a third huge kind of surprise move. The first was in 2017, and that was awful, and we know how that turned out when he traded up for Mitch, and then he traded and got Khalil Mack, and I like that a lot. So maybe the third time will be the charm. I'm going to hope for it until there's no hope left.
Yeah, that's all we can do. Beth, great stuff as always. Thanks for your time. But do me a favor, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
You can find me on Twitter at BearDownBeth. I share a lot of stuff from Bear Report and Heavy on there. And you can also find the Facebook page where I share all my stuff on Heavy. It's a great Bears community. It's called Heavy on Bears. And a lot of Bears fans sounding off about Russ cooking in Chicago on there right now.
I would love to see Russ and Sierra walking down Michigan Avenue. That's
man. Key to the city all year. I'd love it.
Dude, you know what? And you know this. If he wins here, he might just have – I don't think they'll ever let him leave. Like, you are here for good.
Statue time. Time for a statue of Russ cooking in Soldier Field.
You're damn right. You're damn right. It would be. Hey, Beth, great stuff. We'll be in touch soon, all right?
All right. Take care, Shawn. Thanks for having me.
All righty. Guys, that was Beth Mr. Elmore covering the Bears for Heavy.com and for Bear Report. Talking Bears with us. Man, that's great stuff. Great stuff. Listen, Russ, or it's out of Russ's hands at this point. He said Chicago's one of the 4 places. Now it's up to the Bears to put together a good offer. How bad do you want, Russ? You better offer some big pieces, because you know, Ryan Pace, you're going to earn your money putting that trade together and then going deep in the draft in the later rounds to get replacements for these guys. So we'll see. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break, and then the other side of the break, we're going to talk to our good friend with a little man. He got a little now he's not even mad anymore. He's Matteo. Oh, he don't know. Now he's all Italian. Matteo. Okay. He's got a little facial hair and everything. Our good guy, Matt Anuko, or Matteo Anuko, excuse me. Pardon me. On the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast, we're going to talk a little White Sox baseball. So don't go anywhere, folks. Tactically Talk coming up next, right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
Hi, this is George Iceman German. I listen to Shawn and Maya in the morning.
1-2. AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash
on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
The Blackhawks got ripped last night, 6-1 on the road at Dallas. They trailed 2-0 after the first. Dallas scored 3 times in the second period. Chicago's only goal came in the middle frame. That was off the stick of Matthias Janmark. Malcolm Subban with 31 saves in the setback as Chicago drops to 13-9-5. They'll play again tomorrow night in Dallas. The Hawks looking to snap a 2-game slide. The second half of the NBA season opens up tomorrow night for the Bulls. They're home against the 76ers, the team that currently leads the Eastern Conference by 5 games over the Nets. The Bulls 9th in the conference, 6 wins in their last 10, 7 games out of first place. Baseball spring training on Tuesday. It was the Cubs with a 9-8 win over the A's. The Padres doubled up the White Sox 4-2. The Mets 5-3 over the Cards.
Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Printing you new signs for the times.
Get back to business with custom printed signs and sales materials. Staples has hundreds of designs to choose from, or just upload your own.
And now at Staples, get 15% off signs, posters, or decals when you spend $75 or more.
Some items printed same day when ordered before 2 p.m.
Save big on custom printing at Staples.
Ends 5/29/21. Exclusions apply. Limit 1 offer per customer. See store associate or visit staples.com/signage for details.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up a non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. Fever is a leading symptom of COVID, and using an accurate thermometer has never been more critical. In published studies, no-touch thermometers miss more fevers than they detect. While the new COVID vaccines are becoming more widely available, it is important to make sure you are protected. Monitor for fever with an accurate thermometer backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at Exergen.com, where accuracy matters.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago, and I'm excited to talk to our next guest. I love it. He is he's a good friend of the program, big Sox fan. He was on the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast, and you can find him on Twitter at Matt_Nuko. So I guess the first question I got to ask him is he changing his Twitter handle to Matteo_Nuko. Guys, let's welcome out our boy Matt Anuko. Matt, what's up, buddy? How are you? What's up, Matteo? What's all that about?
What's up? Watch out for my burner account, Matteo Enrico. It's
That's
out there
awesome.
Somewhere.
That's classic,
Didn't
dude.
even know.
I love it. Matteo Enrico. Beautiful.
It's just these, I catch these fits of, I'm just going to goof here.
I'm going to act an ass, sure. Let me know.
Yeah. I'm going to bring some humor.
Oh man, hey, great to talk to you, dude. And you know what? And actually, we get to talk about baseball. There's actually fans in the stands over there in Florida and in Arizona. Although they do have it spray painted out in the field where you can sit in the square.
That's
At least they're out there, which is a big thing. And they're going to add 20% capacity here opening day. So good to have fans back in the stands. But let's get right down to it, man. The White Sox. I don't want to be concerned, but I'm a White Sox fan, and they always seem to, kick me in the nuts when I'm not looking. And what have we won? 1 spring training game, 2 spring training games, and we're not doing very well. Now, don't get me wrong, we're losing them after the starting pitchers come out because the starting pitchers have been on fire. With Lance Lynn yesterday, I think it was so funny. I think he wanted some action, so he's like, "All right, I'll get out the first 3, then I'll walk the first 3 to start the second inning, and then I'll strike a guy out and hit a double play." So I'm clean, but I think just so I could have some fun. And Kopech looked good in his 1 inning. Giolito looked good. All these guys are looking good, but they still only have 1 win. Should I still not really worry about the fact that they only have 1 or 2 wins, or is that something to be concerned with?
Excuse me. That's a very good question. I was just scanning through. I haven't been able to watch too much this year, but they haven't scored a run in 16 innings.
17 it was, yeah.
That's never good. I know every time the past 4 or 5 years that we do this in the spring that you have me on, I always say, everybody, take a deep breath. The sky is not falling. It's spring training. Pitchers are working on pitches. They're not pitching appropriately. Hitters aren't, they're seeing odd sequences and different counts. But at the same time, you got to score runs. Put some runs across on the board. Especially given where we are in the phase, in the rebuilding phase in the winning window, which is we're here. This is it. It was kind of last year. Last year was an anomaly on, for the season and everything. But, even when you have those guys like Vaughn, who probably isn't going to start the year with the club, there's probably a chance he might. But, when you have Vaughn in there who can rake, and you have Zach Collins that, needs to start, he was a bat first kind of catcher draft in 2016. You have these guys that can hit. So it's not like they're sitting, yes, most of their starters are kind of in and out. You still want to see those guys in the minor leagues, those prospects start to produce a little bit, because they're facing guys that are likely in the same position. Guys that are fringy, AAA, AA guys. So you want to see something, a little bit more than 17 scoreless innings.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit more.
I
was actually just looking through the stats, and power is Adam Engel's leading the team in home runs with 1.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I mean,
Adam Engel.
Give me a little more.
Give me something. I mean, you figure all these guys, from Lou Bob to Eloy, to Jose Abreu since he's back, to Yo-Yo, to TA7, to Yasmani. Again, the top 6-7 guys in that lineup can all go yard at any particular point. So yeah, it is, to me, it is a little concerning. But again, it is still spring training, and this is scaring me a little bit. So we'll see.
Something that I forgot to mention that it's my own theory. It's not necessarily, it's all just my own observations, is that teams that are generally on the cusp of really putting together a seriously good season, or kind of favored to go far in the, in the postseason, they sit their starters exceptionally sit their starters. So spring training, I think the Phillies in 2008, their Grapefruit League record was dismal, was absolutely horrible. So I don't necessarily want to see wins and losses. I just want to see some runs. But yeah, that could be kind of you can look at it so many different ways, but generally speaking, the win-loss column I'm not that upset about. It's the runs that I would be upset about and be concerned about.
Yeah, because you can manufacture runs, and one of the things that I do like about Tony La Russa is he's got these guys running. It's a crazy idea when you have really fast guys have them steal bases. I don't know if people have heard about that or thought about that before, but yeah, you can steal bases when your guys are really fast, and that's another way that you can manufacture runs. And seeing a couple of stolen bases this year in spring training has me thinking that this is one of the ways that we're going to be able to get to a pitcher. Because now, because stolen bases isn't a real, it's not in vogue anymore. It's like, oh, I just hit the long ball. But how about make it easier when you got the pitcher worried about the guy on first, stealing second. So now he hangs something, or his slider doesn't slide as much. And now there's a long ball would have been on. Remember, Ozzie said we win by playing defense, by pitching defense and 3-run homers.
Yeah. You and I, this is preaching to the choir. I was actually telling somebody this. I think they were a Cubs fan, a friend of mine, and was like,
sorry to hear that.
I know. But I let him have it all the time. Don't worry. But I was talking about, you know what? No, it was somebody else. But I was saying how the White Sox have really zigged when the rest of the league was zagging with building a roster. I know we've talked about this. That is more of that 20 years ago roster where you have versatile guys. You have guys that can run. You have guys that can hit for power. So you have power speed combinations. And we saw it a little bit last year with some small ball. And we've always said that with Rick Renteria. He was not afraid to bunt. He was not to play sacrifice, and put pressure on the defense. Stealing bases puts pressure on the defense. And when you got a pitcher, who's worried about a runner stealing, he's going to leave a fastball up. He's going to let that slider, leave a hanging slider, and bang, bang. Now you got a 2-run homer instead of, just sitting there waiting for that 2-run homer. And then it's like my power versus your power. And I know that was that sabermetric kind of like philosophy where it's like, let's go for the big run. We'll take, 3 strikeouts over a man on first and a double play. I can't stand that idea because 1, it's boring to watch. And 2, there is no pressure. I mean, how much have we seen, I guarantee like the Cubs, John Lester. Guy can't throw the ball to first base. Why aren't we bunting? Why aren't we trying to hit it back to him every single time? And why aren't we getting exceptional leads all the time? You got a guy like, Lou Bob. You got Tim Anderson. You got Madrigal. Adam Engel. You can pitch run. Yo-yo. You've got speed up and down this lineup mixed in with some serious power and good contact with Abreu. That's a recipe for runs. So, I mean, maybe that's Tony. We have our grievances with Tony La Russa, but maybe that old school idea of all right, let's instead of pounding the ball around the ballpark, let's string some things together, look for a weakness, play some small ball, put some pressure, and then bang it.
Matt, this is why I love you, dude, because that's my very next freaking question. Okay, we've been doing this for too long. Yeah, I think we have. I was really upset at the La Russa hire, and now I'm starting to see the method behind the madness, because we have all those versatile guys. And Tony La Russa, whatever he says, and whether we like it or not, because it's Jerry's boy, and it doesn't matter. The dude has the credentials. You couldn't find a better and more qualified manager. And I loved Ozzie, okay, but he doesn't have the resume of a Tony La Russa. You don't get inducted into the Hall of Fame by accident. You know what I mean? You're not the the manager with the third most wins in Major League Baseball history by accident. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, maybe Tony La Russa is the guy, because when he talks, you have to listen. Everything he says is to be respected. So now you got guys, and then there was a clip that we had a couple of shows ago. If you can find it, pull it up for me, please. It's when they were playing the Angels, and his boy. The Cardinal. I can't even think of his name.
Yadier Molina?
No. Fat Albert.
Albert.
He goes up and sees him before the game, and he gives Tony La Russa a big hug, lifts him up off the ground, and La Russa came out with Lou Bob, and he came out with Eloy, and Fat Albert's like, dude, this is my guy. You're gonna love playing for him. Mm-hmm. You're gonna love playing for him. And I was like, wow, for someone that they looked up to say, hey, listen, you're going to love playing for this guy, goes a long way. Because I think when he talks, I think he's going to give him some tough love. I think sometimes Eloy needs to not be so goofy. I think Lou Bob needs to kind of tone it down a little bit, because, he likes to run all over the place and cut off other outfielders. Although I can understand cutting off Eloy, but that's another story.
Just tuck him over by the line and then
just leave him by the line. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Tony La Russa, now I'm starting to like this hire more and more because, now you're going to have guys who are going to hit and run. Now you're going to have bunts. Now you're going to have I think you're going to go back. You're going to maximize the potential of all of these stars. And why wouldn't you run Tim Anderson, Yo-Yo, Eloy, Lubab when they're young? Because in 5 years they're not going to be as fast as they are. And I think now I'm very happy with it. Give me your thoughts on the hiring of Tony La Russa now. Here's what I was talking about before. So there's Fat Albert, and right before the game, he's like, "Dude, this is the man, dude. This is the man." And these guys are like, "I love you, growing up." They probably had pictures of Fat Albert on the wall, of Albert Pujols and these guys. And he's just, you talk about lending credence to your manager, dude. That's awesome.
I just want to know why we can't get Tony La Russa a better haircut. I mean,
he's got, we got a whole bunch
of lettuce
Italian
flying out the back that looks like a mullet.
He might still be stuck in the 80s, party in the front, business in front, party in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I think with La Russa, I think you're right. I think we've, hopefully White Sox fans have kind of, we've gotten over the anger a little bit of the process. And I kind of give, I give La Russa a little bit of credit for, and this is just his veteran, status, and not his first rodeo here, that he was able to keep his mouth shut, endure it a little bit, and then just go out and play and let it speak for itself, kind of thing. But the roster, I mean, let's be honest, the roster, it's like being handed the keys to a Ferrari. I mean, it can do anything you want. It can go fast, or you can just cruise. So, it'll be interesting to see what he does over, 162 game season, and, how he manages certain points in the season. Now, that's what he does. That's what he's always done. And that's kind of the value I think we're getting, is that he knows, like, when you hit that midsummer lull and you're not, banging the ball around the ballpark, how are we going to do this? And what are we going to do? Do we have fresh legs? Can Lubab run? Have I grinded him into oblivion because, he's played 40 days straight, or, he's played the last 60 games. How am I going to, it's almost like a load management kind of thing. Because that does matter here and there. And, things have evolved, like they have all kinds of, I know we get angry about, injuries and injury prone players like Lubab, but by taking risks, by always diving in head first, running around the bases, what's his philosophy, behind there with the medicine, with the nutrition management, with, micromanaging these guys in a different way. So that's one thing, is just seeing how he's going to manage to grind out wins at different points in the season and make sure that the White Sox are playing their best baseball in September and crescendoing into October, and without sacrificing, some comfort. Hopefully, they run away with the Central, but Minnesota's pretty good. Yeah. And you never know with Cleveland.
Going to hang around.
So, but also, to your point about, why you brought him in, that fresh voice, like you said, like that Hall of Fame voice with a young roster, and the endorsement of Albert Pujols, who's one of the best hitters ever to play the game and had his best years with La Russa, that's going to speak volumes. That's going to go a long way with that roster, I think. And, you just hope, everybody should just be watching and observing and taking it day by day. I mean, this is not Joe Madden with the Cubs. This is not, Joe Girardi with the Yankees yet. Let's just see how it goes. But that you have a little bit of confidence, but the roster is set up. So essentially what I'm saying is there's no excuses. Mm-hmm. If he can't win with this roster, I mean, when you can back up a righty with like Kopech throwing 100 in the 6th, and then just bring in Jared Crochet in the 7th, a lefty throwing 100, who can probably do it for 2 innings, and then you bring in Liam Hendricks. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you can't score runs, you're going to shut them down, and if you can't shut them down, you better score runs. You can do it multiple ways. And
the thing is, the White Sox can score runs, and they can shut you down, and it could be literally 6, 7, 8, nothing. I can see a lot of 5-1, 7-1, 7-2 games. Okay, with the other team scoring early, because Kopech looked sharp yesterday in his debut. What did I have here? 1 inning, no hits, 1 strikeout, and then Crochet struggling. He's only at 98 miles an hour. So I don't know
only at 98.
I don't know what we're gonna do with this guy, but so yeah, he's only at 98. He had a 1 inning, a clean inning, no earned runs, 2 walks though, and 1 strikeout. That's set up for 7 and 8 is ridiculous. So, but talk to me about, go back to La Russa, and how do you think he might play this? He's a little old school. These younger guys, there is load management. Okay, we'll give you a day off every 4 days just because, like, dude, these guys are 24, 25, 26. You don't need a damn day off. This is baseball. This is not the NBA. This is not where you're playing every other night, where you're traveling. You're in the same city for 3 days. Okay.
Right.
You're going right back to the hotel. You're on a bus. There's a hot tub there. There's everything in there. If it's not in the clubhouse, it's at the hotel. So you don't need the load management in baseball as much as you do in other sports where you play one. It's a lot more pounding of the body and the joints, because baseball is pretty much a static sport until, it's not. So give me your thoughts on how you think his management, or his load management, I guess that's the popular term, is going to be with these players, because they're young, they're energetic, they have all the energy in the world. Do you see him giving them days off just because it's Thursday or their scheduled day off?
I hope not. I don't think anybody on that roster has earned that except maybe Jose Abreu, and he doesn't want those days off. You bring up a good point. They're young. I can remember, and I think I've shared this story before on your show, is, I remember when I was in the minor leagues with the White Sox, and it was a different experience because it was very different than even college baseball, where, you show up at 4:30, you take batting practice at 5, you're ready to go by 6:30, you're out on the field, and then at 7 you play the game, and then you don't have to show up to the field again until, between 3 and 5 the next day. Where I remember being 22 years old and I lost almost 20 pounds because I played 30 days straight once. I had never done that before, and by the end I was complaining. I actually got sick in the middle of it. But you never say, hey, I need a day off. The moment you say that, the moment's like, well, all right, we'll give it to this guy and you'll never play again. But I remember that grind, but I was at the field at 11:30 in the morning. We had extra work at noon. We had, roving instructors at 1. We had extra hitting at 2. We had extra fielding at 3. Then we had batting practice, then we got an hour off. And then it was 5, you had to lift somewhere in there. Then it was BP at 5. Then it was maybe get a shower and some dinner. And then you got to play a game. And you've been at the field since 11 o'clock. And I remember getting to spring training the next year and asking around about the guys up at A and everything. They're like, nah, we'd do show and goes. We'd show up at, 6, play at 7, or we'd have BP at 5. And I'm like, what was I doing down here? This was miserable. I shed almost 20 pounds. So that's more of what I know. It's the grind. Now in the major leagues, they don't play every day. We had a game 30 days straight. That was brutal. These guys, they'll play a 3-game set, have a day off, play a 3-game set, if they play 6 days in a row, that's a lot. And then it's baked into the CBA that they have certain days off. So I think that's a different feel. And I agree with you that load management in baseball is a little different. Than obviously than like football or hockey or basketball. So, how La Russa is going to handle it, I think they've gotten so scientific, and I don't know this, for sure in the White Sox, whether they, calculate BMIs every day, or if they're working on down to the molecular level of how they manage their energy sources. I don't know if they are. I don't think they are sometimes, but sometimes you hear these things that are they're doing all these different calculations. Anyway, it's all the stuff that we don't know. What we do know is how to play the game of baseball and how, your body feels as an athlete going out there and playing. Hopefully he runs his best 9 out there every day. That's what you want to see. And especially in certain circumstances where, you might be able to extend, a first place lead, or you're in a battle for a wild card spot. If you get a comfortable lead, maybe you can sit a guy once or twice here and there. I mean, we know that happens over a 162 game season. But now with fans back in the stadiums, we want to see, we want to see, the product, and we want to see wins. And, you want to see Lou Bob out there taking second, taking third with no outs after a walk in the 5th inning of a 1-1 game, and see that excitement, like put the ball in play, get a run in, drop one, get a dying quail or a Texas leaguer when the infield's in, don't strike out, Anyway.
Yeah, it's and you know what, and for us, the Southsiders, it's been a while, and we're anxious. We've waited for this point for the last 2-3 seasons, where our window is like legitimately open. We got a little preview of it last year, but this year it's open. The window is open. Lou Bob has had a shortened season, but a season of major league pitching. Eloy has had a season plus. Obviously you got the reigning MVP in Pito. You have a guy who was in the MVP conversation in TA7. So everybody's here. We got the new arms. We got Lynn. We got Hendricks. Kopech's back. So everything's is really lined up. It reminds me a lot of that other team in Plays of the City back in 2015 and 2016 when everything lined up perfectly for them and they wouldn't handle business. Now I think it's our turn to go and handle business. And I think, and truth be told, that who do you think is going to have one of the best years? Because I know there's just so many studs, but I think Eloy personally is going to go nuts. Him, and then after, my second guy would be Yo-Yo, because remember Yo-Yo had COVID, and he even running for second to home, first to third. He's just dying. He couldn't breathe, even though he was cleared of COVID. And I think, and I think Lou Bob will be MVP candidate down the road, but I think Eloy and Yo-Yo might be the guys who just come out of the gate and have their coming out party and just go nuts this year. Who do you think?
Oh man, if I had to place a preseason bet on a breakout season, who's gonna run things, I'd say Eloy's a good bet. I'm gonna go with Tim Anderson. Just he's gonna continue.
I was like, looks like that's not a breakout.
I know, no, that's just somebody who's gonna have a big season.
Okay.
Well,
because he was in the MVP conversation last year too, until Jose Abreu and a couple other guys just really ran away with it.
And he was Silver Slugger the year before. If I had to say breakout season rather than just dominate, I don't know. Can we choose a pitcher? I'm gonna go with Garrett Crochet.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a lefty flamethrower, a little deceiving. And I bet, depending on how Reynaldo Lopez does, I could see him taking his spot in the rotation maybe. I don't know. That might be absolute nonsense. But
so what are you hearing about the Cease talk? Yasmani Grandal said this dude's got phenomenal stuff. And you and I both know that Cease does have phenomenal stuff. It was just he'd have a bad inning. He'd give up 3 runs or 4 runs, and then afterwards he'd come down and mow them down in order for the next 3 or 4 innings. But it's just that one run, and he's talking. So now that they have a new pitching coach who's more connected, is Giolito's guy, but he's more connected with the psychological part of it than just the physical part of it. Can we see Dylan Cease come out and really have an unbelievable year like Lucas Giolito did it 2 years ago?
Absolutely. I don't see why not. Especially, and we've talked about this before, just the pressure to not feel like you're the guy like when you've got veterans like Lance Lynn and Dallas Keuchel, and now Lucas Giolito can be added to that conversation. You're around greatness. You don't feel like you have to, be the guy. So if he was feeling some of that pressure, he can literally just go out and just sit around sit around that kind of that talent and see what they're doing and say, all right, do I have to throw 106 every time I, fire a fastball in there? Or can I be precise with 96, run 96, sink it, run it, cut it. And then also, show those changeups and those other off-speed pitches, having a guy like Yasmani Grandal behind the plate, having that veteran leadership. Hopefully he can settle down, avoid the big inning. And even if your big inning, if you can shrink your big inning from 5 to 3 runs, that's a step forward, obviously. As a starting pitcher, if you give up 3 runs in 6 innings, you're probably an all-star, somewhere around there. You're doing pretty well. So, if it's 3 runs in 1 inning, That's okay. We just don't want 5. We don't want 6. So, I know that there's also been that there, like we said, with the new pitching coach and having a little bit more of the psychological issues down. But I remember even last year, the discussions around the data and everybody wants to throw a pitch and then go back and see what their spin rate was and follow the tracks and see where it was going. And it's like, at some point, you don't have that in the middle of the game. You just got to feel it. And that's what sets apart, great players from, players that just have stuff and talent. So, hopefully, I don't see any reason why Cease can't do it. He's got to learn how to be a pitcher, like we talked about with even Giolito. We talked a lot of mechanics with Giolito. So, him having gone through that can absolutely help Dylan Cease. And hopefully Kopech went through, Kopech can add a little bit to that conversation as well, knowing that he doesn't have to throw at 104 miles an hour and light up the radar gun every time. He can live at 98 and be effective at 98. And then if he needs to, and he doesn't have the off-speed stuff, he can dial in 103 easy. So,
our drunk uncle, Ken Hawk Harrelson, our beloved drunk uncle, would always say the best pitch in baseball is a well-placed fastball. Yeah. And, if you can command your fastball, it's wow. And it's just it's simple, especially if it has a little bit of movement and you can place it. Man, it's tough. Remember, Mariano Rivera only had one pitch, and he did pretty good in his career.
And I'll tell you, as the cutter is the hardest pitch to hit in baseball. And, I remember watching Roy Halladay when he got to the Phillies and just watching him live with 4 different fastballs. He could run it in on right-handers. He could cut it off the left side of the plate or inside the left-handers. He could sink it. He would go through the lineup just like that first time. And if they weren't even seeing it the first time, he could live through it the second time. He hasn't even thrown a hammer or even shown a changeup. Best place fastball. You can run it. Sorry, you can run it inside. You can do all kinds of stuff with the fastball. So
no, he was telling me, he's like, "Hey, you got to go. I'm hungry."
Yeah, he's hungry for whatever's outside. It's probably a hawk or something. He probably heard Hawk Harrison.
hey, Matt, Mateo, great stuff today, buddy. Always love talking baseball with you, dude. Always. Are you still writing it all, or what's going on?
I am now known as the intern. I've been relegated to the intern on the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I zip in here and there. Mainly get coffee. But no, I haven't been writing much because of other journalism work. Just busy, but I'm trying. It's baseball season, and my body's telling me it's baseball season. And the weather, it's supposed to be 70 here on Thursday. It's telling me it's baseball season. And if I can ever catch a break from work, I am dialing in to see what the White Sox are doing, or the local.
Check them out. Check them out on Facebook. Make sure you follow them. I know that I was watching the game yesterday on Facebook, and it wasn't 70. I think it might have been 70 in some parts of the city. It's going to be like 68 today here in Chicago. So yeah, I feel you. I feel you. But then on Monday and Tuesday it's supposed to snow. So what do you want?
That's March for you.
That's Chicago for you. We love it. Hey, dude, great stuff, man. Always love talking to you, man. We'll be in touch soon, especially now the baseball season's here. All right.
Watch out for that Mateo and Enrico burner account. Okay, it's out there.
I'm looking for it, baby. I'm looking for it. I'm going to follow it. That's for damn
sure. Somebody.
Hey, great stuff, Papa. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Guys, that's Matt Anuko from the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. Great stuff, man. And, he knows his shit, dude. He knows his shit. He was in the minor league organization for the White Sox. So it's, these are the type of people we like bringing on, guys who can give you a special insight. And not just writers, not just blog boys, not just people with an interest in the game, people who have a true understanding of the game. So that was great stuff, man. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we have more sports conversation. We have some stuff we got to talk about. We didn't get to in the top of the morning segment. So we're going to talk about some stuff that we didn't get to and a whole bunch of other stuff. So don't go anywhere, folks. Is it possible that St. Rita boy could be coming home? We're going to find out. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
Hi, this is George Iceman Gervin. I listen to Shawn and Maya in the morning.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash
on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
The Blackhawks got ripped last night, 6-1 on the road at Dallas. They trailed 2-0 after the first. Dallas scored 3 times in the second period. Chicago's only goal came in the middle frame. That was off the stick of Matthias Janmark. Malcolm Subban with 31 saves in the setback as Chicago drops to 13-9-5. They'll play again tomorrow night in Dallas. The Hawks looking to snap a 2-game slide. The second half of the NBA season opens up tomorrow night for the Bulls. They're home against the 76ers, the team that currently leads the Eastern Conference by 5 games over the Nets. The Bulls 9th in the conference, 6 wins in their last 10, 7 games out of first place. Baseball spring training on Tuesday. It was the Cubs with a 9-8 win over the A's. The Padres doubled up the White Sox 4-2. The Mets 5-3 over the Cards.
Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Printing you new signs for the times.
Get back to business with custom printed signs and sales materials. Staples has hundreds of designs to choose from, or just upload your own.
And now at Staples, get 15% off signs, posters, or decals when you spend $75 or more.
Some items printed same day when ordered before 2 p.m.
Save big on custom printing at Staples.
Ends 5/29/21. Exclusions apply. Limit 1 offer per customer. See store associate or visit staples.com/signage for details.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up a non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. Fever is a leading symptom of COVID, and using an accurate thermometer has never been more critical. In published studies, no-touch thermometers miss more fevers than they detect. While the new COVID vaccines are becoming more widely available, it is important to make sure you are protected. Monitor for fever with an accurate thermometer backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at Exergen.com, where accuracy matters.
Look, my computer's freezing. I don't know whether you're frozen. I'm having a frustrating time right now. On my bad. So I thought you were ready.
Okay. All right, we're good now. We're good. Guys, welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning at SportsZone Chicago. Let me tell you something. It was just got off with Mateo Anuko. I loved it. Talking White Sox baseball and some phenomenal points, with this team, and we're looking forward to it big time this year. And it's just something that we're really, really anxious about, but we're cautious. We're cautiously anxious about it because of our unfamiliarity being in this type of situation. There's so much expected from this team, so much talent on this team. We're just, it's killing us. Well, listen, yesterday was the day that you had. Yesterday was the deadline to franchise players for the NFL, and not a lot of teams use a franchise tag. You don't have to. There are quite a few non-tagged people that are really stirring an interest. If you listened to us earlier, I talked to Beth Mishler-Elmore. She covers the Bears for Heavy.com and Bears Report. And we had talked about the fact that the Packers didn't use their franchise tag on their Pro Bowl running back, Aaron Jones. I'm sure they're going to try and re-sign him. One of the other teams that's in our division, one of the other teams in our division who didn't sign or franchise a player is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have a stud, a Pro Bowl wide receiver who went to my alma mater, St. Rita High School, in Kenny Galladay. They did not franchise tag him to the tune of about $18 million, like the Bears did with Allen Robinson. Unfortunately, injuries have limited him to five games and 20 catches. 338 yards last year. They said the team actually they signed former Raiders wide receiver Tyrell Williams. So looks like Kenny Galladay might be on the move. Could there be a reunion here in Chicago? I don't know. I think that'd be a pretty cool deal. Have a Chicago boy catching passes for the Bears and at a high level, not just playing, but at a high level, Pro Bowl level. But I think he might be a little too much out of the finances because you're not going to be able to bring Allen Robinson, which you tagged, and then sign Kenny Galladay. He's going to want at least $15 million a year, and you still don't have the quarterback that you want, because I know you don't want David Foles. I mean, you don't want Foles.
Nick Foles.
What was David Foles?
Fail. I think David fails.
It fails.
Yeah.
You don't want Nick Foles.
Well, either of them is what you want. Any of those.
Yeah. So, I would love it. I just don't see it. I don't see it feasible. There's just too many big contracts. And most of them are on the defensive side of the ball. So, as much as it pains me, I don't think Kenny Galladay will be a Chicago Bear. That would be awesome for us. It'd be awesome for his head coach, one of my former teammate, Todd Kuska, who coached him at Rita. Some of the other staff who, he was just a good kid, who just did his thing and got to the league and became a force in the NFL. So, yeah, my dreams of Kenny Galladay playing for the Bears this year, coming up in 2021, unfortunately, I think are going to go unfulfilled. Also, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they franchised Chris Goodwin. Okay. So they tagged him to the tune of $18 million a year for this year, I should say. Now they also have until the 18th to work out July 18th, that is, to work out a long-term deal. So there's a lot going on, with the franchise tag. Teams that want to, and if you're unfamiliar with the franchise tag, is you can tag someone 3 times, and it's the top. When you franchise tag somebody, here's the thing. First of all that money's guaranteed. So if you franchise tag Allen Robinson, or he signs the franchise tag, and he walks out of Hallis Hall and gets into a car accident and can't play this season, you still hold him $18 million. So he's getting that money regardless, whether he gets injured. It doesn't matter. He's getting that $18 million unless he doesn't play. Then of course, then there's all the ramifications. But for all intents and purposes, that's guaranteed. And it's the top average. It's the average of the top 5 wide receiver salaries from the year before, and that's what the franchise tag is. So, most teams don't like to use it. There is a growing thought that the franchise tag could be a way to go for a lot of people. But the reason many players don't like it doesn't give you security. You see guys who are, they want the signing bonus. They want the long-term commitment. I see it a little different. If you're good, okay, and just say you're with a team and they franchise tag you, because here's what you could. Here's the thing. You remember the contracts in the NFL aren't guaranteed unless you're Kirk Cousins. They give you a big signing bonus, and I want to know who the hell his agent is, because that's Rick Hahn needs to go talk to his agent, because that's highway robbery. But you get a contract, 5 years, 6 years, for $80 million. 30 of it's guaranteed. Okay. Why not play the franchise tag and for 2 years? Because maybe 3, but 2 years will be good. And then you get exactly pretty much all you want, because teams can cut you at the end or whenever they feel like it. Sure, they give you your guaranteed money, but they don't have to give you the contract after they cut you. So if you had say you get a 5-year deal, 30 million guaranteed, it's 5 years for 50 mil, 30 mil guaranteed. Okay. So they could just, if you play under the franchise tag, depending on your position, for 2 seasons, you're going to get pretty much that salary. Then you go play somewhere else. it's not as bad as people think, because people say they want the long-term security. There's no long-term security in football. They can cut you whenever they want. Okay, and the contracts aren't guaranteed unless you're Kirk Cousins. All right, basketball, baseball, those contracts are guaranteed, but not football. So I don't know, just a different thought process. I get it. I get where they talk about feeling secure, but there's not necessarily there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat, Neil. That's a funny story. I have to tell you that story somewhere. It's time from college when we were at Cape Cod and after final exams in the spring. It was more than one way to skin a cat, Neil. Well, listen, we are yesterday was NFL Pro Day up at Northwestern, and representatives from all 32 teams were in attendance. That's a good thing, man. That's a really, really good thing. Okay, when all representatives from all NFL teams are there. No, that hasn't always been the case in Northwestern. Northwestern's been a nice school, great school academically. They put out a couple guys here and there. Napoleon Harris, was it Rosie Culver or Roosevelt Colvin? He went to Purdue. They had someone else. Sherrod McManus. Okay, and then there's one more that I just can't think of off the top of my head. But now you're starting to get some players. So they have an offensive lineman. He plays tackle for them. Rashad Slater is a projected first-round pick. He was there that everybody was looking at. So the Bears probably aren't going to get him because he's a projected first-round pick. And the funny thing about that, though, is they're so finicky. See, here's the thing that bugs me. People are so worried about the numbers. They want the stereotypical or the prototype of this position. They want the prototype of that position. And you don't need to look at the prototype. You need to look at film when they're playing good teams. You need to look at film when he's playing against other first-round picks or other guys who are in the NFL now. He's got 33-inch arms. And as a tackle, they're saying, well, those are just too small for the NFL. Okay, by your numbers, yes. But you know what? When you turn on the tape and you watched when he played against
Ohio
State, Chase Young, he shut him down. This was a guy who was up for the Heisman as a defensive end, okay? And he shut him down. First round talent, second overall pick, I think, or was he first pick for the Washington football team?
Oh, he's first. Oh, he was first.
He was number one overall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he shut him down. So they're talking about, and this is all things that people will use to try to negate or downgrade a player. But when you see him playing against people at a Pro Bowl level who are Pro Bowlers, you have to say, hey, this guy can play. And his play against Chase Young, that speaks volumes.
I'm sorry, I'm wrong. He's number 2 overall.
Who was the first one? Quarterback. And who went first? Did you see?
No, I just looked up Chase Young. Really.
Oh, just took it. Okay. But they also have Northwestern also has the cornerback, Greg Newsome. So apparently he ran a 4.31 by some people, but officially I guess it's a 4.38 in the 40. That's motoring, dude. That's flying. 4.38. Now, I don't remember him being a force or a name that was repeated over and over and over last season. I'll tell you what, he made himself a lot of money running that 4.38, but I don't remember him being a one of the key. He's not one of the guys that you mentioned when you talked about their team. Okay, talked about the quarterback, maybe even the offensive line, but he wasn't one of those guys. But he will get drafted now.
Oh, I forgot. It was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was
number 1
overall. That's right.
So Greg Newsome the second, ran a 4.38 in the 40-yard dash. I'll tell you what, you build it and they will come. Remember, Ivan, we talked about it. You build these facilities. Kids want to go to places that have top-notch facilities. They want to go to places that are cool. All right, you're right outside Chicago. You're literally adjacent to Chicago on the north side. Okay, literally adjacent. You know, from your dorms, you could literally be in Chicago within 4 minutes. Okay, you just got to go up Sheridan, down Sheridan. You know, top-notch city, top-notch, the best indoor facility in the country was just recently built. The weight room's sick. You're overlooking Lake Michigan. They're going to start to get some players. And Northwestern has never solely relied on Chicago or Chicagoland area players, you know, because a lot of them just didn't want, it was too tough academically or whatever. But now they're going to be able to get some of these studs from Illinois. They're going to be able to get a lot of kids to stay home. Okay, with that facility, and thing you can market. You're home. You're close to home. Your parents can come see every single one of your home games. And then you could drive to U of I. You could drive to Purdue. You could drive to Wisconsin. You know, you're very close to, you know, all the road games for your parents to see. Northwestern is going to get, because of that facility, because of Fitz, their head coach, because of Fitz, they got the facility. The alumni really believed in him and his vision, and so they forked out the money. For that facility, and you're gonna start seeing more and more guys get drafted into the NFL or get signed as unsigned free agents coming from Northwestern, because you're going to get a better quality of student athlete that goes to Northwestern. And I couldn't be happier for them. I couldn't be happier for Fitz, because Fitz is a dude. He's awesome, dude. He's awesome. I met him. I spoke with him quite a few times when he came to recruit a lot of my players when I was at Curie. And he's a down-to-earth kind of guy. He's a phenomenal football coach. He's a fiery type of guy. His dad went to St. Rita, so I know he comes from good stock. So I'm happy for Northwestern. I'm happy that they're able to get some names in the draft, and some guys are stepping up, and it's gonna hold opportunity for a lot of other guys, because check this out. When they have a pro day and people are coming to see the Rashawn Slaters and they're coming to see the Greg Newsomes, guess what? If you're a senior also, they're gonna get to see you too. They're gonna be allowed to watch you run your 40. They're gonna be allowed to watch you do your vertical. They're gonna be around to see you do your bench press, you do your shuttle. So here's your chance to shine as well. There's a lot of other people who are going to get opportunities because of the big dogs that Northwestern brings in. And sometimes those big dogs don't work out, but in the end, the afterthoughts end up having 6, 8, 10-year careers in the NFL because they got a shot. So I'm really happy for Northwestern, the facility that they have, and these guys are really, really, really. I love it. I love Fitz. I love what they're doing. I love he wins. He plays it and coaches it the right way.
Rashawn Slater is going to be a monster. I don't care what anybody says. Like arms, okay. The guy's motor, the way he attacks, he's just a smart football player. He's a smart, strong football player. Let's just say that, and he has a high motor. I mean, he really can get up and down the field, and I feel like he's going to be an asset to any team that picks him up, regardless of his arm length. But you know, it is. You're right. Northwestern is on the come up, and their facility is one of a kind. It's world class at this point, and I feel like the more people see that, the more exposure, like you pointed out, Shawn, getting all 32 representatives of NFL teams in the building. I mean, that's huge in itself. You know what I mean? People pay attention to that, and kids want that, an opportunity to play in the NFL or at least be seen by somebody that has NFL ties. That's a huge thing. And now Northwestern offers not only a world-class academic opportunity, but you now have world-class athletics as well on top of that, and an opportunity to play at the next level.
Yeah, I think that they can be Georgetown. I mean, Georgetown is pretty much basketball, but a Georgia Tech, a Stanford, those type of schools where they're big time Division I, phenomenal schools academically, but they are athletically, they're on par with the big boys. And I think they're slowly but surely getting there. And I'm just happy for Fitz. Like I said, I've met the guy. He and I have talked many times back when he was recruiting my players. Just a good dude. And, you haven't heard, you'll never hear of any scandals with him or anything inappropriate with him. And it's just the way there's still good people in the world, and he's one of them. And, he's him trying to rebuild that program and get it back to glory, get it back to the Rose Bowl when he played, is definitely a good thing. Holy she's it's 11:55 already. Damn, 3 hours is come and gone. Damn. That was first of all, that was quick. Jeez. Holy cow, that was quick. Woo-hoo. Hey, thanks, Dub 6R. You gotta tell us your name, dude, because I don't mind calling you Dub 6R, but what's that?
Sam.
It's what?
Sam. That's what he said. Yeah, he said a couple shows back where I asked him his name.
Sam?
Assam.
Oh, Assam.
Assam.
ASSAM? HASSAN?
Yeah, please put your name in the comments so please so we can get once more, please, sir. Thank you. So we don't get it right, because you are a much appreciated fan of the show, and we want to get that correct.
Mikey Clutch, one of our new interns, is watching the show as well. Hashem. Okay. I got you.
We will not forget that name again. Please, Hashem. We will not forget that name again. Bless you.
Thank you. Listen, we had a great show, guys. I want to thank Adam Shalafu for calling in from the Hoopstradamus podcast, talking Bulls with us. Beth Mishler Elmore from Heavy.com, talking Bears football with us. And Mateo himself, Mateo Anuko.
That was hilarious, dude.
Now he's been downgraded to the intern over at the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast for calling in, talking White Sox baseball with us. I also want to thank my guy right here, Ivan Vargas, for making it run smooth. I want to thank our executive producer, Elliot Baez. I want to thank our social media guy, Clarence Council III. And also want to thank my co-host, Adam Sencha, Maya Kai. All of us together made it a great, great show. Man, that was awesome, dude. That was a phenomenal show. Listen, make sure you do this, guys. Make sure you download the app. Download our app, okay? SportsZone Chicago, wherever you get your apps from, you can download it there. Right now, it's still free. It's $3.99. You don't got to worry about it. Just download it. Take us with you everywhere you go. Listen to us. Listen to the podcast we have. You can listen to the Hoopstradamus podcast on there. You can listen to the Davis show on there as well. There's a whole bunch of different shows, different podcasts. We have live shows like tonight. Monday night we had What's Up Cuz. Tonight we have Halitech Hall, 6:30 to 8. And then we have Sports 101 with Jamar Hart from 8 to 9. On Saturday from 11 to 1. We also have the Humidor Sports and Cigar podcast with Smoke Fellas. You could check those out. You can listen to them all right on our show, right on our app, SportsZone Chicago. Make sure you download the app, check it out. It's great it's great. You like sports, you get real sports from real Chicago fans, and it's top notch. You won't find anything better out there. You find a lot of other stuff out there. You won't find anything better. So for Adam Shalafu, Beth Mishler, Elmore, Matanuco, Elliot Baez, Clears Council, Maya Kai, and my boy Ivan Vargas.
We will see you guys on Friday. There's nothing big going on tonight as far as games. I mean, there is action with the Cubs and the Giants, but Northwestern actually plays Minnesota. But I mean, other than that, there's not really much to be excited about tonight, unless you really, 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 really like hockey.
Yeah, well, listen, on Friday we're gonna have a huge show because we're gonna Thursday the Cubs play, Thursday the Sox play, Thursday the Bulls play, Thursday the Hawks play. So there's gonna be a lot of sports to talk on Friday morning. A lot of sports. So you're gonna want to tune in, guys. We're gonna take a 45-hour break. So for all those people I mentioned, Guys, I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra. We'll see you in 45 hours. Until then, I got 2 words for you, folks. We out.
Take off the glasses, please. You look familiar. You got a record?
Yes, sir, he's got a record. He's got a great record. The Black Rooster, 13 KOs. Paco Aguilar, El Gallo Negro. He's got a great right uppercut.